Corey Heim finally doubled up on position number 1 last week at Martinsville, and he is in the mood for more. A NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series win Friday night has only bolstered our championship leader's confidence, but that often matters very little at the biggest and baddest oval on the NASCAR schedule, Talladega. Can a wildcard playoff driver nab the checkers, or do we have a spoiler in week 1 of round 1 of these playoffs of the UFL Elite Series? We have 80 laps to settle the score. Welcome to Pit Stop TV. I'm Andrew Cardinal IV with Gary Weaver alongside, and there is no more chaotic setting to open the road to a championship than here at Talladega Superspeedway, Gary. It'll be a fast-paced chess match today with a package that promotes more thoughtful racing, but still opens up big and crazy moves for the win.
It is an absolutely wild track, built in, I believe, oh man, I was about to say it, now I forget.
Opened in 69, I want to say.
69, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was 1969. I was like, oh, is it? I don't know, but very fascinating as well. This track was built very, very close, 2.66 miles just about, where the obligatory mention is that the start-finish line, because of the length of this track, is technically in a roundabout way 1,000 feet further compared to Daytona. And not only that, but it's also wider, so you have a lot of you have ample room for 4 wide racing here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see some of that today, but considering it's the first round of the playoffs, I think everyone's going to be taking it just a bit easy, but that doesn't mean it can't happen.
Because of the way this track was built, it is both simultaneously a carbon copy and very unique. It's really weird, and I'm glad you touched on a couple of the highlights here. Talladega Superspeedway, very, very weird, but in essence, it races like Daytona, lap after lap after lap, but it comes down to those finishes, whether it's the stage finish or the race finish. You see so much more time to open up a move at a turn 4. You can wait a hair longer just to wait for that move to materialize, and then you can go into the tri-oval around that bend, and then you can finally make your move, get it sorted by the time you get to the start-finish line. It's very, very weird how you race here at Talladega, at least in that regard compared to Daytona, and in that way, it is just a little bit unique. It opens up to more exciting moves and, of course, finishes and crashes. We've seen it over the course of the years. We'll see it here tonight, I'm sure. Fastest lap time in one of these NASCAR Cup Series stock cars in qualifying setting anyways, a 50.188. Of course, we're faster than that in practice, so it's hard to say exactly where these guys are at, but instead, let's take a look at point standings. Yes, the playoff grid coming into this evening. Here is a look at how we sorted out after Martinsville last week when Corey Heim got the second win on the season for car 11, and of course he is the only multi-time winner now, and you can see that noted with the win stickers on the graphic, and that's really interesting. We went 8 races, no 2-time winners until right at Martinsville for the cutoff.
Like you mentioned right at the top of the broadcast too, Corey Heim did he and his team just have something. They had something incredible for Martinsville. Heim was strong at Martinsville and iRacing. Not only that, it translated brilliantly to real life. It is absolutely impressive. But the entire for Palmieri, he didn't have too good of a race last week at Martinsville. He is 14 points behind the cutoff, but he does have time here with this track, especially with this race, to essentially reset. And he's going to be, I hope he'll be, for his sake especially, that he'll be less frustrated, because last week Martinsville it was brutal for him, but he still managed to make it into the playoffs. So we'll see how things go for everyone. The couple names I see are Leighton Sabile, Cy Bowen, Austin Moore. It's going to be wild. Even Herschel as well, who had also his own struggles last week at Martinsville.
Yeah, I think certainly you could say Herschel and Palmieri were beneficiaries of the circumstance that be at Martinsville, but glad they made it into the playoffs, and now they have their work cut out for them for sure. Guys like Ryan Vargas, Leighton Sabile, Cy Bowen, Austin Moore, those are, I think, more legitimate threats right now to go up and move into your championship forward. It's also a different setup, right? We only have 3 races to decide who's going to the championship race, and we're not eliminating 4 cars after this one round of action. We are eliminating 8 cars between Kansas and Charlotte are being eliminated for that championship for the final race of the season. So that's a big difference. That's not normal, I suppose, in the NASCAR scope of things, but I really do enjoy this format. It's going to really put the pressure on all of these 8 drivers, whoever is below that cutoff line every single week here, these next 3 weeks at Talladega, North Wilkesboro, and Kansas, to move up, get themselves into the next round. And Yeah, I mean, Corey Heim, I think, he's not a lock, Gary, but you have to consider him pretty well in for going to Charlotte. The three guys right behind him, I do notice, it's funny, I left Matt Kemp's name as Matt Help. I did not intend on that, and I actually looked at it while I was editing the graphic earlier and said, I don't know how I typed that, but I need to change that, and I forgot to change it back. So, Matt, apparently your name is Help tonight. Help me, I guess. Not really sure how the keystrokes happened there, but point being, very close between Mercurio and Vargas. It's really tough to say who's going to go on, and I mean, of course, Ryan Vargas won at Daytona earlier in the season, Gary. He could very well be a threat to win, well, will be a threat to win. Everybody that starts this race will be a threat to win, but could very well get it done again tonight.
I wouldn't be surprised if your brain had all-corrected Kemp to help and you just didn't even realize it. But Matt Kemp will definitely need all the help he can get to stay in that top four for throughout this event. As we look at the schedule, Daytona all the way through Martinsville, we are now in Talladega. And Mike, I will keep saying I'm excited for North Wilkesboro, and I really wish the real race was this month. But man, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see these cars next week. I think it's what 30 car grid, 41 cars actually. It's 42 cars at North Wilkesboro. If that's going to be the case, that's not going to leave a lot of room for error. Yeah,
40 car max grid, 37 from the points and or from points and qualifying, and then 3 provisionals, I believe, is our setup. And you can see here Sean Butler on track, one of the drivers making our 40-car grid this evening. We'll see exactly how many we have here in just a little bit. And Sean Butler also up to second in qualifying. Aaron Smith, it looks like 2 laps complete already, he is only going to make it up to third. Here is Justin Melillo. Just wrapped up his run in the 4th spot. You briefly saw Cy Bowen, who will be starting from pole, it looks like. But qualifying not over. In fact, Carson Bowers up into the top 5, 4th position.
Great job. P4 for Carson Bowers for the time being. It is, of course, again, not over yet. A few more drivers have yet to qualify. In terms of the actual timing sheets, about 26th on back, as we're sitting right now, riding on board with Leighton Sabile sticking right to that inside lane. And, of course, with this being with how these tracks are designed, that's pretty much the ideal lane. I'd be very surprised if we saw people running the outside.
Looks like a couple of new drivers this evening. Dalton Collins, I see in car 95, joining us. Zach Johnson in the 36 car. It looks like those are the 2 new drivers in the field. I see Adam Kodel's name still does not have his number by it. And I do want to mention playoff driver notability. You'll see a red banner and red spoiler on their cars. Next week we should have the different numbers on the ticker for you so you can easily note who is where. Leighton Sabile to the line. Let's see if he goes faster. He does not. A 53.402. He slows down a little bit on lap number 2. Matt Kemp, well, his name is properly spelled here. He won't get a lap, it looks like, but he is on track along with Zach Nichols. And Nichols actually into his box will come in and stop, but there is Matt Kemp, car 54. For a long time this season, Gary, it felt like he was your favorite, but he's kind of slid back in the last couple of weeks. Not so hot.
Yeah, not the best. Hopefully with this race, it's going to help anybody and everybody for a bit of a resurgence as qualifying ends for this session. So Kemp not able to put in the lap time. Very, very interesting. I think he's going to try and snipe a position right at the last second, but he mistimed it.
I do want to welcome you all, of course, to the LTLN, Left Turns and Loud Noises 212. Big shout out to Left Turns and Loud Noises, a racing podcast powered by the Rogue Media Network, for sponsoring this evening's race. And this certainly is a good one for them to come on board with. I know they've been sponsoring Anthony Rotolo. He's part of that podcast for the last several weeks. And very cool to see some more involvement out of LTLN getting involved here with this series. And I've got to look. Hopefully Anthony made the show. I don't see him in the session. He might have just missed out. I'm sure if I check my Twitter notifications, there's probably a mention or something from Anthony's tweet, but that is unfortunate. It does not look like Anthony Rotolo made the show tonight, Gary. That is, and he had a really cool looking throwback too. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I finally found him. Okay. Whew.
I swear I just saw him for a bit. Just like,
yeah, I thought I had saw him in session too, but we do have Anthony Rotolo in the session. Here he is on track in the LTLN Left Turns and Loud Noises number 5, and I really enjoy this throwback. We'll take a look at a few of them here before the race starts. Really solid work here by Gabe Herschel.
It is amazing. I love seeing all the throwbacks, not only to not the usual throwback of past paint schemes in just real life motorsports, but also past just was it past paint schemes to drivers just themselves.
Their
in
sim racing career, yeah.
careers. I think it's, if I remember correctly, 41 Brian Mercurial is one of them. He's not on track yet, but I saw earlier on Twitter that his paint scheme was one that he hasn't ran in 10 years, all the way back in the NR 2003 days.
Yeah, and a lot of them are that way. In fact, here's one for Team Canada. Andrew Schwartz sporting a paint scheme that Mark Sabetka won in, and we'll be following that theme throughout the course of the evening. Here's Timmy Pacioli's number 86, a throwback to one of his old paints. Barrett Polhemus in one of his own cars. Here's Doug DeNice's throwback. This actually does have some context to it. This a throwback to one of his paints that he made years ago for 1,000 Foot Crutch. So kind of a nice little nod there to one of his older cars. Tristan Hagenstein in an older Klondike machine that he ran years ago on NR 2003. And then here we go, another Mark Sabetka paint scheme. Ryan Pistana throwing it back to Mark Sabetka in the 43 car. And it sounds like we'll be speaking with Mark Sabetka at the stage break. So a little surprise, I guess, that we're kind of spoiling a little bit. But stick around for that. If nothing else, we've got a special interview coming up for our stage break. Kevin Reed out there on a Corey Heim throwback. Gabe Herschel on track. He's got one of his throwbacks as well. The number 16, Cody Williams has one. Michael Frisch, I don't think he has one. A lot of them out here, though. The list goes on. In fact, here's Justin Malillo's throwback to himself as well.
Gosh, it's amazing seeing all these throwbacks. Makes me feel old. I don't know why, but now it makes me wish I saved some of my paint files and everything, even from NR and everything. But I usually make the bad mistake of clearing out my paint files that I never use. Oh. I'm thinking, yeah, I won't use these ever again. And then something like this comes up, and it's like, oh man, I kind of wish I saved my files now just in case. So don't delete your paint files if you really, really cherish them, because you never know, you can throw back in 5-10 years time, or even 2 months from now. Who knows?
And somebody who's got a pretty solid one that hasn't been in the series until this evening, Zach Johnson. I really do enjoy this. He's got a few decals to add to the car. It looks like, well, I think he's got them, but yeah, no, I think he does actually have them on the car. But Zach Johnson edition, know him from plenty of broadcasting on the sim.
That's the same Zach Johnson I know, isn't it?
Yes, from GSRC and some other channels. So good to see Zach Johnson in the field this evening. Good to have some more additions to the field. I know the 95 out there of Dalton Collins is also, I think, going to be on track here soon. I haven't seen him on track yet, but a lot of really cool paints out in the field this evening, including one from Jonathan Palmieri. Always enjoy what he has to offer as far as paint schemes. You can see one here. I don't recall the context, but again, the idea here with this throwback, Gary, was not just a throwback to anything in NASCAR. Some of those guys did. Of course, we see some Hog Teamers paints from Corey Heim and Leighton Sabile that are just kind of general throwbacks, but the real idea was to see these guys throw back to paints of their own, as we mentioned, from years back in sim racing. Palmieri doing the same thing here.
Yeah, it's great. I love seeing it. It's a whole thing of basically just sim racing history, just right here, and then it's fantastic. I love it. Something I haven't really heard of before either, so it's not a new concept to me personally, but I've done it a couple of times, maybe once or twice. But it's amazing to see it on a much larger scale.
Once again, welcome to the Left Turns and Loud Noises 212. We appreciate all of you tuning in this evening, no matter where you're watching from. I believe we have a bit of a crowd piling up over on the Twitch chat, I'm sure. I'm sure we have Eric Webler out there, Mark Sabetka, maybe even some Sean Farr fans chiming in. I'm going to actually open that up on my other monitor and take a look here in a moment. But we have a grid popping up for us, Gary. By the way, glad to have you here. Glad to be back, by the way. Last week, Emerson Arden did a fantastic job of filling in. Glad he was able to do so. Glad he was able to get a taste of some UFL action. Wish I'd been there at Martinsville, but it looks like everything went nicely, and you guys had some fun, and that's definitely a good thing. Emerson did great. Would have him back at any point in time. Let's take a look at our starting grid this evening for the Left Turns and Loud Noises 212 at Talladega Super Speedway. On pole, Car 17, Cy Bowen, one of our championship competitors, will lead us to the green. Starting from second, Sean Butler. He's got a win on the season, but is not in the playoffs. Meanwhile, it's a non-playoff row number 2, row number 3, row almost number 4, as we've got Aaron Smith and Carson Bowers there in 3rd and 4th, Justin Malillo and Chris Wetz in 5th and 6th, 7th, Zach Johnson, not in the playoffs, but Ryan Vargas, Daytona race winner, is in the playoffs. He starts from 8th before Timmy Pacioli, another competitor in the playoffs, will start from 9th, and Morgan Baird rounds out your top 10.
Brad Mercurio starts off in 11th. Keep an eye on him. P4 coming into the playoffs this week. And Gabe Herschel starts off in P12 right along his outside. These two are going to be battling, no doubt. Leighton Sabile and Jonathan Taylor start 13th and 14th. Tristan Hagenstein will start in the 15th place position, with Matthew Stalknecht rounding out the 16th place position on the outside of that, number 27. In the 15, it's Keith Sherman starting in 17th. Nearly confused myself there. The 43, Ripe Mastana starts off in 18th. Corey Heim rounds out P19. And to his outside, the 04, Adam Coldwell rounding out the top 20.
Starting 21st this evening, it is car 44, Manon Rahman alongside Jonathan Palmieri, who just squeaked into that 12th spot in the playoffs. Starting 23rd, there we go, Anthony Rotolo in car 5 from the LTLN podcast, along with Ford Martin in car number 33. Starting from the 25th position, Kevin Reed in car number 10, a throwback to Corey Heim. Cody Williams starts from 26th. Starting 27th, that's Michael Fresh in car 58. Zach Nichols rolls off 48th, one of our strongest competitors of the season. And then how about Matt Kemp, Dalton Collins, a stacked row 15.
31st is going to be Andrew Barrel Paul Hemus, actually. Might be looking in the wrong section here. Yep, Barrel Paul Hemus, apparently. Andrew Schwartz starts off in 32nd. 33rd going to be Matt Wishart. 34th is David Cabrera. 35th is going to be Austin Moore. Dylan Smith rounds out the 36th position. And then 37th is going to be Arnold Columbia, with 38th being Jake Fluman. And rounding out the most of the field is going to be Doug Denise and Paul Fode, rounding out the 40th place position, with Sean Farr rounding out 41st for the entire field.
Big shout out to Eric Rebler, our longtime admin here for the UFL Elite Series. Of course, not racing. Glad to have him here as always. Headed down into the Tri-Oval for the final time before racing this evening. Thanks for tuning in and joining us at Pit Stop TV. We appreciate it as always. Cy Bowen on pole, 80 laps the distance. It's a shorter race here at Talladega Superspeedway, and these guys are already spreading out. Sean Butler taking the top of the field way up the racetrack here. The green flag flies, and we are racing at Talladega. Down the Talladega super stretch for the first time. Cars fanning out a little bit in the back, but up front, Malillo with a big run. Zach Johnson pushing him. Sean Butler in line up top, and the bottom is all Cy Bowen and Timmy Pacioli. Way up top are those guys on the top side of the racetrack, trying to use all that momentum up there. We're going to see the top line certainly be in effect this evening, but nobody wants to ride in line on the first lap. 3 wide for second.
Look at that. Timmy Pacioli will lead the first lap on the outside. Everyone's fanned out everywhere, surprisingly, even for me. I figured everyone would ride double file, at least maybe single file, but just like that, everyone riding out single file up until about the 7th place position, where they are 3 wide between multiple drivers.
Oh, Pacioli in the wall early already. Leighton Sabile hooked him. Leighton's checking up. 4 wide as Mercurio shoves his way back in. Morgan Baird through the gap. Pacioli checks up. Everybody lifting to let the 86 car back in. And that is already a big-time storyline. There's a 25. The 86, though, Pacioli, some big-time contact with the outside wall. And there is, sure enough, some damage to the right side of the 86 car. We'll get a look at it here in just a moment as he comes around the front stretch. And, nearly got a shot there from Ryan Pastana. It's not as bad as I thought, Gary, but it's still not great.
Yeah, not bad, not great, but still running, and a fantastic save by both drivers especially. That would have been absolutely awful if that went any other direction. But man, no one's really settled as much as I thought they would be.
Zach Johnson going to drop back here on lap 3 of 80. 3 wide, 1 in the middle, 2 in the middle now. Corey Heim goes up there with Sean Butler underneath the 25 of Sabile, the 7 of Taylor. Meanwhile, Ryan Vargas, Carson Bowers leading the top side. Bowers ahead of Vargas. Vargas trying to push him. Down low, it's Cy Bowen, Morgan Baird, and Justin Malillo in the 53 car. A few cars peeking underneath, and we're going to see exactly this, I think, a good portion of the evening. At some point, though, we're going to have to get single file for green flag pit stops if we make it that far, and yes, I will customarily knock on wood for it, but this very bottom line, very top line, it seems to be the way to go.
I think so, and especially considering that it avoids the potential of being side drafted as well. Asai Bowen moves up to the middle lane, brings the 98 of Morgan Baird with him, moves up to the top side. No, he's going to get side drafted as they go 3 wide for the lead. Baird stuck in the middle with a 25. There's Sabile directly behind him.
On board with Morgan Baird in the Wolf's Pack. This is really crazy stuff from Morgan Baird right now out of Michigan. An ARCA driver, got plenty of super speed racing to his credit. So he slides in behind Cy Bowen right now, following the 17 car. If anything, Cy slid down in front of him. And he will cross the line in position number 7, it looks like, following that 17 car. Ryan Pistana down low, did not make the playoffs, but definitely trying to go for some early stage points in this one. The stage, by the way, the completion of lap 30.
It's going to be quite a long ways to go as the 17 of Cy Bowen and the 43 Ryan Pistana will be side by side. Baird helping him on that middle lane. So we've sort of settled. Oh, never mind. Right when I was about to say we sort of settled down, we haven't. Moving to the outside, that is the 43
Pistana.
Ryan Pistana.
Yeah, Pistana, just as I was talking about, moves up out of the way of Hagenstein, gets in front of Cy Bowen to try and protect. Morgan Baird now pops out a little bit. Now Stalknet up to the top of the racetrack. Ford Martin takes a look up there. Let's go on board with car 33, actually, and take a look at what it's like. Try to get that top line moving. You can see in the middle is the Splash and Go and Valvoline, number 13 of David Cabrera. Rare start for him, making the show this evening at Talladega.
I'd be double checking just to be sure, but I could have sworn that he did. Cabrera started 33rd. Doug Denise started 30. Oh, yeah, Cabrera started 33rd. He's up to, at least at the start finish line, 11th. Right now, sitting 8th. That's impressive.
Pacioli in line, 3rd on the bottom, sticks his nose down below Gabe Herschel for a moment. Look at the field come out of turn 4 from a fan's perspective. I think that right there sells the tickets for this place. That kind of view out of turn 4 like that is just beautiful. You can see the middle line getting going. Carson Bowers now leading the line. Frisch going to take 2nd across the stripe this time. Butler and Pistana dead heat for 3rd as, wow, Ford Martin, look at that run up top.
A fantastic charge up on the outside lane. Fantastic charge up to first place by Frisch and Bowers.
Yeah, look at that tandem.
They are quite far out. They're going to have to move up top. Well, now it's too late. Never mind. I guess they're going to be committed to the inside lane now. Here comes Butler and Stalkneck on the outside now.
Ford Martin looks to the middle side. There goes Zach Nichols to fill that hole up top. Going to bring the 98, it looks like. No, who is that actually up behind him? That is a car I was not expecting to see. I think that's Austin Moore in the 91 as a bunch of cars are peeling off. Pit stops. So this is interesting. This is some road course strategy right here. Working the stage in reverse, Gary. It looks like they're not confident in going the whole way to the end. That or they want to have fuel for the stage break so they don't have to pit there since they know they have to pit in that second stage. I think it actually might be that strategy. They know they have to pit again. Come in and get this fuel now.
That's not a bad idea, and it's a great thing, especially, fuel only for Sabile as he gets down and going. Same goes for pretty much all the other drivers that were in pit road. All about 5.5 second pit stops. So Sabile, Vargas, Heim, and Manon Rahman.
Meanwhile, our leaders at a turn 4 this time. Let's see if anybody else pits. One car was Squirrel. I think that might have been Austin Moore. See if we have any more takers. Oh, Morgan Baird down to the inside, but not pitting. He just got shuffled out of line.
This is a lot more wild than I expected it to be. This has blown my expectations way out of the water.
I'll be honest, I did not expect this level of organization and chaos simultaneously. This is crazy stuff as we're only 9 laps in. It's already felt like 20. Really, you could tell me stage would be ending next lap, and I would believe you as Cabrera gets a run here. Mercurio going to follow in the number 41 car. First time we've talked about Mercurio in race setting all night long. Here he is pushing the 13 through the middle. And Cabrera finds a hole there to the outside of Wishart. And we're starting to see some broken up kind of tandem racing up front. We had those guys pit, and it really broke things up.
A lot of people probably trying to double check, making sure, well, what do we do now? Do we do the same thing? because at this point they're going to have to make that decision very, very soon before it backfires. But at this point, I think everyone's going to decide to just stay in line, except for the 32, who was looking to make a pass onside bound, but now he's going to get shuffled back to top 5. Nope. Now he's going to get shuffled back now with the 13 of Cabrera.
Yeah, Matt Wishart falling back in the 32 car. A throwback to one of his old race-winning paint schemes from the NR 2003 days as well, as Polhemus goes up top of Herschel. I think there was some contact there. Polhemus makes it up there with help from Ryan Pistana, and they will try to get the top line moving. And I think, Gary, I think the rest of the field was kind of taken aback by that pit stop from those guys that pitted a couple of laps ago. I don't think that was expected at all. Leighton Sabile, Corey Heim, those guys at Hogtamers trying to reinvent the wheel. We'll see if it works out for them.
Yeah, even I wasn't really expecting that either, so I'm hoping, especially for their sake, that it goes well. But they are about to be lapped in, I'd say about maybe 3 or so laps. The last time by, well, they're running in tandem alone, but as they go into turn 3, the field is just now coming out of turn number 2.
Look here through the entire field as they fly by on the backstretch. Melillo starting to work that top side once again. Go on board with car 53. You see Zach Nichols down low, and for once, I think we're starting to actually calm down ever so slightly. Gabe Herschel, though, moving forward, there is just not the energy the top side needs right now. However, I'll bet you, Gary, if they were to move up top, those 4 or 5 cars that are single file now, yeah, there goes Zach Nichols. If they go up top, they can run the top side and run away.
No doubt. Look in the mirror there. You see Mercurio absolutely shoving. It's going to be a stack up, though. It's not going to go too well. Does everyone survive? Yes, it was a very, very precarious accordion effect at, well, over 190 miles an hour into turn number 1, and everyone made it.
Mercurio flying down low. Going to follow Cabrera. This is a really weirdly stacked up field right now in the midfield as a single file line gets going on the bottom. This is almost exactly the opposite of what we saw at Daytona. And I'm honestly surprised. I really thought, especially based on the eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series race last night, that we would see more single file topside racing. This is really changing my expectations for the rest of the evening. The LTLN 212 definitely living up to Talladega height. This is weird.
Well, it's definitely a lot of left turns and definitely a lot of loud noises.
Yeah.
With 40-some-odd cars flying through, especially 3 wide when the first half of the field is. Everyone, in a sense, is now kind of sort of single file, but also not really. You see a couple of drivers on the outside being led by the 13 of Cabrera, the 41 Mercurio behind him, and flying through. I think that's Pastana as well, who sneaked his way up. So is the 16 of Cody Williams. Now the 98's joined. I think we might be getting an outside lane again. I was about to say it's not exactly organized. Mercurio goes up top.
Mercurio went up top, I think, in response to the 13. Blink and go! Cabrera straight down into Jonathan Taylor. They caught it.
I don't think they even made contact, but it was very, very close.
I'm surprised there was no crash. As you can see, the top 3 breaking away as Herschel's trying to deal with the 32 of Wishart. They sort it out as they fly off into turn number 1. A spotter's view into the first couple of corners of lap 14. Austin Moore alongside Matt Wishart. I really enjoy this view here at Talladega, whether I'm spotting for somebody or just spectating or, well, broadcasting even. Oh, there we go. Stalknet around. Pistana involved. We got a crash.
That was the move, trying to go for 3 wide, and it just did not work. The hole closed up. Luckily, not as many cars involved as race control throws the caution.
Morgan Barrett, Ryan Pistana, Arnold Columbia.
A lot bigger.
Definitely was smaller than I expected our first caution to be. Stalknet stopped on the outside of turn 3. He's done. Paul Fode might have grabbed just a piece of contact. Looks like his car is mostly safe. There's Ryan Pistana, though. Oh, that's unfortunate. Already a Mark Sabetka throwback under a lot of damage, under a lot of duress.
I'll see what happened in the replay, and we'll get that at some point. But man, now that we have a chance to breathe, yeah, this race has fully just blown my expectations away. As we see, it all started with the 51 between 39 and 43 coming off of turn number 2. So we'll see here what happened off turn number 2 down the back straight. Stalknet, he peaks to the inside lane.
Oh, Columbia came up. For whatever reason,
did.
the 39 shot up the racetrack.
I think he was following the 7.
We'll get another check on it here.
There's a 39, 7 moves up to the outside. The 39 moves to follow the draft more than likely, and that just collected the 3 others and hard hit for the 51. 7 moves up, then out goes Columbia as well. He just was. I don't think he was expecting Stocknet to be there, peeking to the inside. It would not surprise me. I think he was probably expecting Stocknet to be behind the 43 since it was just that one lane. But man, again, that could have been bigger, but still, that is that's just not the way you want to really end your day.
I'll look at it here from the blimp. Watch the red 7 go up the racetrack. Columbia followed up into Stocknet. Just, I don't know if he wasn't aware they were 3 wide. Thankfully, as you mentioned, Gary, not too much damage for these cars that are involved in it. It could have been far, far worse. All things considered, kind of a small incident, especially for our first incident, when the field is all still packed up at a place like Talladega. Gabe Herschel, your race leader, staying out under yellow. Jonathan Taylor stays out with him. From there, you get those guys that pitted earlier. Ryan Vargas, Corey Heim, Manon Rahman, Leighton Sabile. 3 of our playoff contenders in that bunch alone. Manon Rahman, the only one not in the playoffs. And Gary, that's interesting. We already have 3 playoff drivers, call it 4 now, with Gabe Herschel staying out. 4 of them on a separate strategy to everybody else. That might be the kind of X-Factor move, if you will, that you need to make, the kind of thing you have to do to get off sequence early, gain points early, and get a leg up on everybody else trying to make it to Charlotte.
I don't blame them. This is especially a very good track, considering they have a lot of chances to not only get up to the front, essentially, but also they have a chance to try out some different strategies here. And so far, it has worked out in its favor, for at least for the time being. So we'll see how things go once the stage end arrives in about 14 laps at the start-finish line.
Herschel on the apron saving some fuel. I think Herschel and Taylor, they have an interesting play here. They can save fuel, of course, not pit at the brake. Or they can pit at the brake. It's interesting. I think, of course, you have to pit just in case you don't get the yellow. But if you try to play it so that you don't pit, you could try and get a caution in stage 2. It's just so unreliable, you can't guarantee it. So I'm sure they're just trying to get to the stage end. It's interesting how these drivers are already playing this race. A lot of different options at hand. And even with guys that pitted, you have a difference in some 2-tire, it looks like, some 4-tire. Of course, the guys that pitted under green were fuel only and done. So they didn't take any tires. You only get 2 sets of change tires, by the way, Gary. So not many tires on hand for these guys. And, of course, the weather conditions not really demanding it. 78 degrees in the air. I know the track temp was a little warm, but not that bad.
It could be worse. It could be a lot worse. At super speedways, the tires don't really wear down too much, so you don't really have to worry unless you're going on for about 50-plus laps. And then, in that case, you have to worry is if your drivers are going to be playing the more than likely topping off some fuel and everything. Just make sure not only that they get to the end, but also in case another caution comes out, which with everyone being stacked up again, it could be more than likely.
Arnold Columbia back in the pit lane. Looks like Doug Denice as well in car 40. I'm kind of surprised to see him come back down, but I suppose for fuel it works. Ryan Pastana, some damage. Very, very tough to see that, honestly. And Pacioli, of course, as well. Playoff competitor. And the number 86 already rather dinged up. I don't think it's that bad for the 86 car, though. I think he's going to be mostly okay. He only got hooked into the wall, right? I know that sounds kind of bad, but it could have been much, much worse.
It could have been significantly worse. And considering of all the drivers and where they're at now, I'll say this. Of all the drivers that are in... Oh, boy. Of all the drivers that are in... We'll go for the top 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them started in the top 10. And for all the drivers that are in the top 10, only 2 of them started in the top 10. So this field can shuffle a very, very ridiculous amount.
And it will. It will continue to do exactly that over the course of the evening. We've seen it. We'll continue to see it. Whether it's drivers dropping back or drivers getting big runs, drivers pitting out of sequence. The list goes on. How about Corey Heim, though? 2-time race winner now. The only one to do that this season so far anyways. And the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series most recent race winner from Martinsville Speedway this past Friday night. Congratulations to Corey Heim and everybody over at Tricon Garage. A solid effort. I know we've had Christian Eckes a couple of times this season. He won at Atlanta earlier, and certainly congratulations go out to those guys. However, we're about to go green. Gabe Herschel, your front row, alongside Jonathan Taylor. A couple of Toyotas, 07 and 7, leading us back to the green flag as we're ready to get back underway at Talladega Superspeedway. Ryan Vargas, Corey Heim, a couple of race winners in row number 2, and the green flag flies. We're back racing in the LTLN 212.
Just like that, great start on the outside by Jonathan Taylor to get in front of Gabe Herschel, but here comes Gabe Herschel. He's going to go to the outside, not yet. But the 11 and 29 now, 25 rather, hooked up on the outside. Vargas goes up top, so does the 7.
Oh, big move from Mercurio as these, whoa! Big block from Jonathan Taylor. It didn't quite work on Ryan Vargas, but Vargas now on the top side of the racetrack, not where I think he wants to be. He's going to sail it around the top side anyways, and it's working so far for car 30 as he gets one heck of a push from the 41 of Mercurio. Down the front stretch, here comes Bowers to help. Ryan Vargas currently clear of Gabe Herschel. Is he going to lead this lap? The answer is yes, a big lead for car 30.
Mercurio has not popped out just yet. I think he's waiting. He might be waiting for Bowers. He's going to see if Bowers falls with him, no doubt. We'll see. The 07 just at the last second slides up to the outside as we ride on board the rear bumper. And Vargas is just being absolutely shoved. I don't think Mercurio's let go of that back bumper, essentially, ever since he got hooked up. That is insane.
All over the back end of the 30 car. These guys making some hay on the top side of the racetrack, and this is more along the lines of what I was expecting out of the top side. Vargas and Mercurio got hooked up and they left, but here comes the 53 and 23. Look at the move from Justin Malillo and Sean Butler and the speed they had that time through. They came out of nowhere, Gary, and I think Justin might lead this lap. It's going to be close. Very close, but still Vargas.
Very, very close. They do have a chance to lead the lap. They just have to get themselves hooked back up and try again. Maybe side draft the outside, but also not the best option. But they do have help, and it's gone immediately right when I say that. Things move fast here. So the 11 of Corey Heim goes to the middle lane, followed by the 25 of Sabile. And here comes the 32 of Matt Wisher.
Teammates working in the middle. Those are the Hog Tamers. Corey Heim, Leighton Sabile. Cy Bowen going to drop way down to the bottom side, down in front of Austin Moore, it looks like. And the bottom side is completely fallen apart as far as Justin Malillo and Sean Butler go. They're back there with Jonathan Palmieri now as our first real side-by-side is for 4th position. Cabrera up top, Bowen down low, Heim in the middle. 3 wide from 4th on back.
Mercurio is giving me the answer to the question of how long can you bump draft at Talladega in the next gen car? The answer, quite a significant amount of time, as he lets off, goes right back to the bumper, bravely pushing mid-corner. Not the best option, but here it works as these cars are planted. They're going to go 3 wide ever so slightly.
Crash!
45, 25 as well. It's going to be a big one here. Oh, no.
Wow! Massive, massive crash here at Talladega. The leaders get through it. And that's a big one.
I saw in that wreck as well, in the middle of that, the 91 just barely got through that, and the 70 as well got a very full view of that.
It's to be like lots of damage.
Yeah, a lot of drivers involved. A couple, I believe, hit the inside. I did see 25, or the I did see 25 of Sabile Sherman involved. So is Sean Butler. Man, oh man.
Looks like Hagenstein slowed down to miss it. Zach Johnson, was he involved? He slowed down maybe to miss it as well. It's hard to say sometimes. A lot of these guys sit so far back. They look like on timing and scoring they might have been involved, but they actually weren't. There's a nice throwback for Sean Farr in the 22 car. Chris Wetz looks like made it through. Adam Kodal as well. Oh no, Kodal definitely got some left side damage out of all of that.
I'm looking through, I think of all the playoff drivers, it might be, emphasis on might be only 2 drivers, Sabile and Pacioli.
Cy Bowen's got some right side damage. I think he was, we'll see for sure, but it looks like he was involved decently. And yes, definitely, at the very least, car 17 involved in this. We'll take a look here. You'll get a look from a drone camera on the back stretch when they come around to Sybone way down low. Austin Moore in the playoffs. Looks like he might have gotten through. Leighton Sabile. Oh, Bowen came up into Zach Nichols, who's also in the playoffs. 3 playoff contenders. Wad him up. Pacioli spins. He's in it. Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Pacioli's car already had damage after contact with Sabile earlier. Thankfully, it looked like he did a brief spin and kind of just got sent down there to his safety, actually.
There were a few drivers that did make a bit of contact, ever so slightly. Some of the drivers that were avoiding, but otherwise, everyone's pretty okay as we ride on board. Yeah, just nowhere to go, coming through the middle, and then just, again, things happen very fast here.
That gave a different view, Gary. We'll have to go back and look a little earlier at that. That gave a very different view, and it looks like Nichols might be done for the day. Zach Nichols, the driver we were just on board with, we'll get another look at it here. Same angle on the roof cam. Watch this develop. Cy Bowen down low, Leighton Sabile up top. Bowen's already coming up.
Oh, he didn't move up quick enough, I feel like. He was kind of just sitting in the middle, and I don't blame him. He might have been seeing it, thinking, well, okay, do I have time? Do I have time? And right when he made the move, it was just way too late. He thought about it. He might have been thinking the drivers on the outside were about to wreck too, but he was just very, very indecisive. He moved up right at the last second, and it just didn't go too well for anybody involved in this crash.
He was kind of slowly moving, and then finally made the full move up there, and they just squeezed together too hard. Here's the onboard for Leighton Sabile. Getting turned around. I think Nichols is done. Bowen's got a lot of damage. Sabile, honestly, for as much damage as he made, or as much contact as he made with other cars, I think will be more okay than you would expect. Sean Butler got a lot of damage. Let's take the onboard there. And Butler was actually pushing Zach Nichols. That explains why he got so much in all of this. Let's take the driver's eye. This will be a ride. Austin Moore got a piece. Melillo gets by. Aaron Smith as well. And
Smith just barely managed to get by, too.
Yeah. Big hit there for Sean Butler.
Sabile still sitting in his pit box. He got banged up just all over his car. He's been sitting for a while. Same with Ryan Pastana and Sean Butler. Sabile is going now. The field is about to come around the tri-oval.
There's Pacioli finally leaving his box. There goes Sabile. Pastana now leaving. Pacioli slowly gets out of his box. Nichols, though, I think is done for the day, and that almost puts him in must-win territory. I think traditionally, if this was an 8-car round next, you could say he could just try and point his way through with the advantage he's got coming in, and we can take a look back at it as we get close to the end here of Stage 1. I mean, he's got 5 points at the cutoff line, right? He doesn't have the, 5 plus, he doesn't have that 16 points to beat Andrew Schwartz if this was only eliminating 4 cars, Gary. This is a big, big difference, and I gotta be honest, if I'm Zach Nichols right now, it's go ahead and, I wouldn't usually say this. And he still could stay in the race and salvage something out of it, but I would not be surprised if he gets on the North Wilkesboro prep train. Quite frankly, I'd go start turning laps now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very, very long race here. We're almost to the stage. We're about 6 laps once we go 6 laps to the stage once we take the green flag. But if I was Zach Nichols and pretty much just anybody here, Timmy Pacioli as well, and I'd be very frustrated. But at this point, I'd say it's better to actually. Zach Nichols still on track. He's not sitting in his car though. He is 3 laps down. So I think at this point, he's pretty much not the best way to start off the playoffs.
I think the argument should definitely always be to try and stay in the race, but this is one of the few situations where I would actually understand if a driver dropped out. At the same time, he could still get a lot of points by staying in this race, trying to outlast some cars. We're going to see more drivers out of this race. These are not the last crashes we've seen for the day. 2 cautions in, we're going to see some more. So it's really up to the driver. How much do you really have in this? I think Well, maybe we can ask Mark Sabetka what he would do. He's coming up in about 6 laps. The iRacing.com pace car down to the safety of pit lane. Ryan Vargas, Brian Mercurio, your front row. Carson Bowers, David Cabrera, row 2. Then it's Gabe Herschel, another playoff driver, alongside Jonathan Taylor. We've got 3 in the top 5, 2 more in the top 10. Half of the top 10 coming back to the green flag. Playoff drivers, Ryan Vargas, a huge restart. Back onto the backstretch. Mercurio trying to shove the ever-living daylight out of the 30 car. Here comes Taylor down to the inside in car 7, making a move. It stalls out.
In fact, I think he got side-drafted a little bit by the 13. That's the, yeah, I think both of them, they slowed each other down. Speaking of the 13, here comes Cabrera way down to the inside. The 10 can't follow, nearly cuts off the 32's nose. They managed to stay in line. Everyone's all right, but that was a very, very close moment as we come to 5 laps to go until the end of the stage. 32 to the middle.
Wishart trying to shoot the gap. 5 laps to go in stage 1. Cabrera now 4 wide. There goes Taylor to the inside. 4 wide for 5th. That's scary. They're crashing. Big one. Austin Moore, Corey Heim involved. A real big one. Palmieri. That's at least 3 playoff drivers in that one alone, and that will end stage 1, I believe. We might get a short restart, but Corey Heim done for the day at Talladega.
Oh man, it was going well, and then it wasn't. Right when they looked to be 4 wide, and Corey Heim.
Big damage.
According to Race Control, going to run this back one more time, but a lot of damage for all these drivers, and Heim had nowhere to go.
Big damage there for Palmieri. I saw Austin Moore, big hit. Oh, he's done. Junk. That, man, and Austin Moore, you can
that's
tell.
An image.
You can tell he's frustrated.
I don't blame him one bit.
Well, I think especially, I hate to have this conversation already, lap 27, especially because I know this particular driver that I think caused this crash, but a tweet earlier just saying they didn't want to cause a crash and hurt any playoff drivers. We'll see. I'll hold my judgment for a moment, but let's see, Cabrera there, Wishart, Cabrera just came up the racetrack. He's 4 wide, just came up and squeezed, and it's tough to really point fingers when you're 4 wide, but you have to blame somebody, especially when it takes out 3 championship competitors. That's big.
That's really, really, that almost, Cabrera got nosed up by the 7 here. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
On the left side, there he goes, yep. Got moved up by the 7 and then just nowhere to go for a couple of these drivers. He moves up ever so slightly, and
yeah, Cabrera came up and just kept coming up, and maybe we can take another look back at it.
He tried to hold for a split second. He saw, I'm pretty sure, he saw the 91 in his driver's side mirror and then moved up to not get hit, but then 32 and 53. Oh man.
So here's this first. Cabrera moved up the racetrack, and then in turn 1, he just kind of slowly up. And if you're Melillo, what can you do, right? You're getting squeezed up, and wow, the ride. I think that was Stalknet maybe, or that was a really big hit. Let's get a replay again.
Meanwhile, Race Control is reiterating lap 30 is the end of the stage no matter what. So we'll see what the lights on the pace car decide to do, but it's going to be a lot of looking at the scoring sheets for this one.
Watch the 32 here. Wow. Unfortunately, Wishart will not be putting that paint scheme back into victory lane. Polhemus all over the place. Manon Rahman, Palmieri, Chris Wetz, Austin Moore is destroyed. And the point that I was getting at is it's a shame that a couple of guys not in the playoffs right there just made a bad mistake in a turn 1. And unfortunately, we're talking about Corey Heim out of this race. 2 wins of the season. The best gap coming in and out of it. At the same time, though, this is really going to shake up the sheets. I mean, we don't know who's going to be wearing it.
This is going to be, yeah. I feel so bad for Corey Heim. Literally nowhere to go, and just if you look in the definition, or if you look in the dictionary, and you look for the definition of bystander, you will.
It's like Gary cut off there, but yeah, you'll find Corey Heim, even Jonathan Palmieri. Let's take a ride on board with car 3.
Wow. Race control also saying under yellow flag, the condition for the condition for pit road being closed 2 laps before the stage does not apply. So we might be. I don't know if we'll be seeing people. I don't believe so, considering how close it is to the end of the stage. I don't think we'll be seeing people go to pit road here.
Take a look at it from Doug DeNice's perspective. He's going to watch the entire thing unfold right in front of him in turn 1. Real scary times. Gets out of the throttle quick. Wow!
Ooh,
wow!
Oh, barely.
We'll call that clean.
I'll take it. If I was him, I'd take it.
Yeah, we'll call that clean enough. Another car just barely missed it. That was the 5 of Anthony Rotolo. We'll get one more look at this crash from his perspective. He was in behind Tristan Hagenstein. Hagenstein has seen some action today. Manon Rahman, that 44 car up top, he's involved. Watch him. Really tough. Thankfully, Rotolo, checks up just in time. Wow.
Oh, wow. Just followed through quite literally and quite figuratively. That is fantastic driving.
Big shout out there to the LTLN number 5 car making it through that crash. Now, it looks like we're going to have a 1-lap shootout. And Gary, the way this has worked out, Ryan Vargas and Brian Mercurio, that oh-so-potent combination, is split up on the front row as we are substantially lighter as far as cars go. A couple of cars trying to catch up. Pacioli, a lot of cars trying to catch up. Dylan Smith in the 1 car, now catching up to the field. Barrett Polhemus trying to catch up still. Timmy Pacioli with him. Leighton Sabile back here still in the race. Arnold Columbia trying to catch up as well as he heads out of the pit lane right behind Matthew Stalknet, who is 39th, 6 laps down. Palmieri, it looks like he's going to continue on. He drove himself back to the pit lane this lap. He's going to stay in this race, and there he goes again. And that nose is suddenly fixed.
Yeah, I'd say this actually might work in his favor too, considering the run we're going to have into the stage end. Oh boy.
Well, fans, drivers that are already out, on your feet here. Ryan Vargas in the Butler Belt number 30 won at Daytona earlier this season. I think, I'd have to look back, it may have been with help. It was either Kemp, Mercurio, Nichols, one of those guys that has been oh so good this season that helped him get there. I know Nate Stewart was racing there at the end. But then you got Kevin Reed. Matt Kemp is there in 4th. So there's 3 championship competitors in the front 2 rows alone. Gabe Herschel in the top 10 for this restart. We got a lot of them up there as we're going to have 1 lap to go when we take the green flag. 1 lap to go in stage 1. Ryan Vargas leads across the line. And Gary, the chess match begins. Kevin Reed in behind the 30 car. Now they go down as the top side stacks up. That was real lucky. Oh, they're crashing. Oh. Reed. Caution is out. And that's it. Oh, Zach Johnson in the back. Spins off the nose of Doug DeNice. And that restart was short-lived. Ryan Vargas, though, your stage winner.
Yeah, it was just too many movements. The 10 was a bit indecisive. Tried to move up right at the last second to get in front of Mercurio, but then, ouch.
Zach Johnson, minimal damage, along with Doug DeNice as well. Bit of a scratch there on his nose. But how about Mercurio's car? He got put in the fence in that, and you can tell, too.
Oh, yeah, that entire right side is, we'll see. Oh, this is fantastic. This is actually really perfect. He does not seem to have any toe link damage. So in theory, he'll be hurting on aerodynamics, but
I'd be surprised if that right front looks real towed out.
does it? We'll see. That might be the fender there, actually.
I think there's a little bit of toe out. It's really tough to say for Mercurio here. I'm surprised he's not worse off, to be honest. I know Ryan Vargas is a stage winner. Quite frankly, I wish I could tell you beyond that, but I just don't know right now. So the way they crossed the line to complete lap 30, now this could of course be corrected, but the way they crossed the line was Ryan Vargas, Jonathan Taylor, Gabe Herschel, Brian Mercurio, Matt Kemp, that's 5th, Melillo 6th, Paul Fode 7th, then Michael Frisch, Tristan Hagenstein, and Anthony Rotolo in the top 10. Here's the onboard for Mercurio in this crash. Watch the 10. Oh. That'll do it. What do you make of that one, Gary?
Literally speechless. That's why I was going to come up with something, but it's one of those I can't think of anything moments, and it's yeah, I get what the 10 was going for, no doubt. Gets shuffled out, tries to indecisive. All right, I'll move up, and it's way too late to make that decision.
Kemp went shooting down the racetrack. I'm surprised he didn't smash the inside wall. Thankful he didn't smash the inside wall, just surprised. And then further in the back, Zach Johnson had a moment, got turned around, it looks like. We'll take the look at it here for the number 36, 360 OTC. I believe it's either a Jerry Mayfield or Mike Skinner throwback, depending on the day. And we'll take a look at it here. Oh, got pounded by Carson Bowers.
Man.
Holy cow. Big hit.
I've heard of unexpected things, but wow.
That's not what you want to see. Take a look at it from the onboard of Bauer's machine. I think was trying to make some spots up, imagining this might go green even with the crash. Oh, he runs over Sean Farr and then runs over Zach Johnson. That's just a low percentage move.
I get what he was going for, but at the same time, not the best option.
Well, Gary, everything has changed once again. Now, Mark Sabetka is waiting by. We'll talk to him, then we'll kind of recap what's gone on here. But Mark Sabetka, this is kind of an interesting interview, first of all. Welcome into the booth. This is the LTLN 212, and it seems like you've kind of taken over the race unintentionally. There's 5 or so throwbacks out there that you ran. Why is that?
First of all, hello. I've been watching most of the broadcasts throughout the year, and you guys have done a great job broadcasting them, so I just like to say that. But, yeah, I don't know why I knew about the Pastana one because I kind of persuaded him and be like, well, since you never really ran NR with us back in the day, and I don't really race now, you should run one of my cars because, you know, kind of he took over where I left off in the iRacing world. But then Andrew, I guess, wanted to run his pretty much first online paint scheme that I just so happened to paint and be teammates with him in. And then I know Tristan is running a car that he pushed me to one of my very few sim racing wins in. Not quite a throwback to me, but it was a cool moment in our league's lore, so that was a fun time.
And yeah, you know, you guys have been around, especially sim racing, with each other for years and years, going back to the early 2010s, probably late double odds. Where does this kind of community come from with you, Pastana, Hagenstein, Schwartz, everybody else, and how long does it date back?
I would say the earliest it dates back, probably 2008.
Wow.
Majority of us started just making YouTube videos, specifically stop motions, and then Xander Clements kind of ring-led the whole NR 2003 movement within our smaller community, and it's just kind of gotten bigger and bigger. Pastana, we kind of met along the way here in the last 5 years, but as of recent, he's been more in our friend circle, but like Tristan and Andrew, I've known them since 2009, 2010. Matt Wishart, who's in the field, I live with him. Yeah. A lot of these guys, we've been friends for years. Some of them are newer, some of them are older. Sean Farr, he was an original member, kind of went off the grid for a minute, came back, and now we're just as close as we've ever been. So it's kind of cool to see this whole sub community exist on this game.
Well, we are about to go green here, Mark, but I got to ask, seeing all these different paint schemes that you ran or you saw back in the day, I guess, years ago, how does that feel in general? Just sum it up real quick.
It's cool that everyone is just, running something that either was a short spurt in time or so that they've been running forever, like Paul Fodd's scheme.
Well, Mark, thanks for your time, buddy. You know what? Let's actually, if you don't mind, we'll keep you in here for a little bit of the green flag run. So we're about to go back green for stage number 2, and down low, it is the Anthony Rotolo machine, the LTLN number 5, sponsor of this race. Jake Fluman on his outside, Adam Kodal in 3rd, Paul Fod there in 4th, and we are back green at Talladega. Tristan Hagenstein, there we go, Mark. One of your paint, or I guess one of your buddies' paints, way up top, got a big run.
Yeah.
And since you haven't watched it here, Mark, we'll keep this, I guess, kind of brief. What has been your biggest surprise, if anything, your biggest takeaway, I guess, from these first 30-some-odd laps, a few big crashes, a lot of crazy racing?
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked at the amount of crashing that they've done so early on, but, these guys are just trying to get up there and battle each other for it.
Well, I need you to go down there to the 32 pit and get Wishart back in this race. He's in the pits right now, but these guys are racing for it up front. Mark, thank you for your time. We'll get you back down and in the pit there, the 32 car from Matt Wishart.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
And Gary, 1 lap into this second stage, and leader, car 5. Here comes Sherman.
Oh, near contact between the 54 and 99. He just makes it. Kemp will stick behind the number 30 of Ryan Vargas on the outside lane. It's going to be 3 wide for, what's that, 4th, 5th place, just about. Well, it might as well be 4th right now. Man, this is wild. It's the middle lane now, the most occupied.
Yeah, you can see how the entire group is shaping up right now to turn 3. Arnold Columbia back in this group, following Bolhemus down low, Aaron Smith in it. Ryan Vargas, Matt Kemp, they're linked up top. Down low, it's Rotolo, Kodal, and Fluman. Frisch now pops up to the top side of the racetrack, going to get help from Vargas and Kemp.
Vargas's stage win that tentatively, I'll emphasize that, propels him to being tied with Corey Heim in first place on the playoff points, not including live positions. I'll get to that eventually once all the chaos settles down at the end of this event. But right now, is not including the actual current race results. It is going to be very close in the top 4, and it's going to be very close between the bumpers of the top 3 on the outside lane.
Packed up real close through turns 3 and 4. It's lap 36. There goes Frisch. The attic to the basement real quick there in turn 4. Trying to block that 5 cars run. They're still fanning out behind him. And Ryan Vargas now takes over point with help from Matt Kemp. The 30 and 54, 2 of the most lethal cars on a plate track so far this season. They are real good. Look at him behind him as Polhemus follows those 2. The 58 down low is Frisch. The 15 up top is Sherman. And everybody's just trying to find their own piece of the pie.
Let's not count out Paul Hemus. Remember last week, while he was, I believe, maybe 1 or 2 points shy of being in the contention. Oh, wow.
Oh, crashing.
Oh, crash.
Oh, big hit for the 16, Cody Williams. He's turned around on the nose of Cy Bowen. More damage for the number 17 car. You can't escape it.
I wonder what happened there, but it looks like Gabe Herschel was just about to just back out anyway. It looks like the 33 actually, but Martin had moved up. Just wasn't expecting that on the outside.
We'll watch it here in the middle of the field. The 7 of Taylor, the 33 of Martin, and the 16 of Williams, nose to tail. Taylor goes down. Martin goes right up into the 98 of Morgan Baird, who comes down and sideswipes the 16 of Cody Williams. Oh, Palmieri, another big hit. Speaking of can't escape it, right there.
Oh, man, that
That's it.
Yeah.
Look at the right front. That's it.
That is absolutely toast.
That's going to be at least 8 minutes or so in the pit lane just to get the toe link repaired, let alone everything else. He's missing a right front fender now. Like I said, speaking of can't miss it. Can't escape it,
almost made it too, but
went to the inside of Bowen. Literally, they zagged when they each should have zagged. Way down low was Herschel, and wow. Cabrera got a piece of it as well. Into the inside wall pretty hard after contact there with Palmieri. Tell you what, the unfortunate storylines for championship competitors keep stacking up. Gary, I wonder if you can make a list here off camera. How many have been involved? How many have not? The list of have-nots is getting real short.
Say that might be easier at this point. I can definitely name Aaron Smith as one, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, championship playoff drivers.
Oh, just that? Well, yeah, that's going to be a lot easier. I could actually probably take a look at that. We'll see.
That was a scary moment there for Cabrera. Paul Fott, it looks like, going to stay out under this yellow and assume the race lead at least for a short time. He and Carson Bowers stay on the racetrack as Ryan Vargas leaves the pit lane first. Barrett Polhemus will leave second, then Sean Butler, Keith Sherman, Anthony Rotolo, Timmy Pacioli, and this should be the money stop for a lot of these guys. That said, we're right on the verge here, and I think I can see why guys like Paul Fott and Carson Bowers are staying out. This is going to be real close to the end of the race. You might want to go a little deeper, but if this works out for Vargas, Polhemus, and everybody else, this will be the money stop.
That's going to be absolutely, it's going to be fantastic. Vargas has had a relatively fantastic day, but like you said, Paul Hemus, and I was going to bring up Paul Hemus as well before everything happened. A couple points out from being in playoff contention, and he was still pretty happy though because he is still in the top 20. And if I remember correctly, in this series as well, if you're in the top 20 in points, you're technically just locked in. You're fine. You don't have to worry about anything. So this would be a great race for Paul Hemus to win. Even though he's not in playoff contention, he could still make it into the top 20.
Just quickly going through championship competitors in this race. Already there's 3 that are down and out. I'd say the 3 car is now out. The 41. Well, he's on the lead lap. Brian Mercurio. I don't think he's got any crazy damage, right? Well, the right side.
He has damage.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody
nothing too crazy at least.
Escaped it. I'm just trying to make a list over on.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Another monitor. Schwartz. Maybe honestly, Andrew Schwartz might be the only clean car from the playoffs so far today. That's.
I think it just might be only Vargas and Schwartz.
Oh, yeah, Ryan Vargas as well.
To a certain extent, but I think Pacioli was caught up in a couple incidents.
Yeah, he's been hit a couple of times. He's spun a couple of times. Gabe Herschel. You know, I can't say Herschel has or has not been in any accidents. I don't think he has been. So, a clean race so far, we'll say, for the 07. Try to make a list here. Try to get it compiled. Looking back through, of course, Sabile has been involved in a couple. Then Matt Kemp. Clean race, I suppose, for the 54 car. He's been involved in 1 or 2, but the car looks clean. Omar Kim is involved. Love how we're doing this on the fly. This is peak broadcasting, I will say. Pacioli, he's been involved in a couple. 86. And he's got damage for sure. Ahead of him, you are kind of down to just Ryan Vargas, who I think has had a completely clean race so far. We'll say. Now, is that 12? That is 11. I am missing 1. So I've got the 11 is out. That's Corey Heim is out. Austin Moore is out. I've got Jonathan Palmieri listed as out. Oh, I see. Okay. No. I am missing 1 car. Who am I missing, Gary?
It's somebody.
The 17.
Who are we missing?
Cy Bowen.
Oh, yeah. He's had a relatively quiet day. Well, no, not necessarily.
He's been in a few.
He's somewhere in the field. He's been up and down. There he is. I see him. 19th currently.
All right, so now that we've done the dirty work of the list here, I guess we can go over it and I guess really explain to the viewers what we're talking about here. We've got three, count them, three championship competitors out of this race. Currently, one of them is 10 laps down. That makes 4 total. That is already a third of the field. That's already a staggering number. From there, we have 3 cars that we're considering clean at this point. It's lap 40. We are at halfway as of the completion of this lap. When we take the green flag, we have 3 clean cars. 3. At least for the playoffs. Out of 12 drivers. 3.
Oh man, this is going to be one heck of a second half of the race here.
And those
Hopefully
cars,
a bit cleaner.
Those cars we're figuring are clean are the 07 of Gabe Herschel, the 30 of Ryan Vargas, the 67 of Andrew Schwartz. 40 laps to go. It's been a long going 40 laps to get here. It is 10:18. The race started about an hour ago, and we have only got halfway. Carson Bowers, the big restart. Ryan Vargas up top. He's got Sean Butler pushing him. That's a potent combo. And onto the backstretch, Gary. Let's do it all over again. Halfway down, halfway to go. The dance continues. Same song, second verse, if you will. Anthony Rotolo up on the top side. He's in a good spot. Pacioli in fourth as well. I know we're considering him in a lot of these crashes because he has been. We're considering him one of the damage championship competitors, but I'll be honest, he's got one of the better looking cars at this point.
Pretty much just goes Ryan Vargas. If you look at it from a distance, you literally could not tell the difference between either of their cars, one being clean, one not being too clean. But the inside lane now being led by Rotolo, but the inside's kind of faltering a bit. The outside is very, very strong, so now we're seeing that start to come in.
And how long will they stay strong with that blinking from car 86? Pacioli looking like a Christmas tree right now, and that's not what you want to have when you're going 200 miles per hour, especially that far up on the top line. You've got Frisch right behind him, then Fluman, Rahman, Sabile, Columbia, Kodal, Bowen.
I wouldn't be surprised if race control told him to move down to the outside and to the back of the field, at least for the time being, until that stabilizes, because that is not helping quite a few drivers. They're still relatively together, but the inside lane, the 5 and the Rotolo and Carson Bowers on the inside are now starting to get hooked up again. Right, I say that, so is the 23 and the 30. They're going to try and extend that lead out a bit.
Rotolo, big help from behind. Paul Hemus down there, Sherman as well, but the top side simply cannot be beat just yet. It's going to take a lot to unseat Ryan Vargas at the point, and there's a reason he went on to win at Daytona. I know a lot of it's luck, and a lot of these guys would say it's all luck, but there is definitely something to be said for real racecraft, especially racecraft and experience of being in these plate races, whether it's the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, and being able to place yourself in a good spot when the time is right. And I think Vargas did exactly that at Daytona. That's why he went to victory lane. Of course, a lot of it was luck. Things had to go his way. Other drivers had to have issues those last couple of laps. So yes, there was a luck involved, but he had to put himself in a good spot to take advantage of the luck. And I think that's what people take for granted more often than not. A lot of guys do things willy-nilly at places like Daytona and Talladega. You still have to be calculated. You still have to be thoughtful.
You have to have absolutely fantastic teammates as well. Ryan Vargas has a bunch. He had Mercurio earlier until Mercurio got involved in the crash for the stage end. So now he's got Sean Butler behind him. Everyone's relatively single file all the way back up until 5th place, in fact 6th place, with Manad Rahman in the 44. But now here comes the inside again. This time Paul Hemus is behind the 5 of Rotolo. He's got help from the 54, the 53, and the 07. They are charging on the inside.
Herschel and Kemp involved in that. At least involved in that line. A couple of playoff drivers. Cy Bowen back there as well. Andrew Schwartz. So now that we're back green, by the way, as far as drivers that are actually out, well, here's a look at it. Cody Williams in the 31st position in the 16 cars. Paul Hemus gets shuffled out of line. He'll go middle and take part in the sucker hole. But drivers out of this race, led by Cody Williams in 31st. Looks like Aaron Smith is just returning to the race, but he was out with 4 laps down in 32nd. Matthew Salknet, 33rd. He's out of the race. No, he's actually back on the track now. 33rd, 5 laps down. Jonathan Palmieri somehow hanging on. Also, well, he's 34th, 6 laps down. Then officially out is David Cabrera in 35th, 8 laps down. Zach Nichols finally rejoined. He's 36th. Kevin Reed, 37th, 13 laps down. Corey Heim, 38th, 19 laps down. Matt Wishart, 19 laps down and 39th. And Austin Moore, 40th position, 20 laps down, out of the race.
Man, I definitely wouldn't want to be on that list whatsoever. Wouldn't really want to. The only list I want to be on is just someone who's basically just survived at this point. At this point in the race, as the 44 gets shuffled off.
Renan Rahman, big catch to the inside, and he will hang on, but drop to the back along with Gabe Herschel. Herschel going to check up and go high.
It was a very, very quick moment. 99 and 58 had checked up ever so slightly. 44 sort of was indecisive on the outside lane, nearly got turned by the 14, but everyone did manage to keep it together.
And now a bunch of drivers have gotten away. You can see this breakaway, Gary. You got 5, 6 cars have driven away. Ryan Vargas, Sean Butler, Timmy Pacioli, Michael Frisch, Jake Flume, and Carson Bowers all leading the top side in a line. Then you got to go back to Arnold Columbia and Cy Bowen, then Matt Kemp, Ford Martin, they're in line. And I don't think those guys out front, they're not going to completely take off, but look at how much single file we are now as Columbia dips down to the inside. He's going to bring Kemp.
Here comes Matt Kemp as well on the inside. They're not really going to go anywhere except farther back. I see that peeking out from the 58 of Frisch. He thought about it, but decided against it. But it's not exactly the best. I'd say if I was on the outside, I'd just sit there and just wait, just ride it out, because it's not really worth running too hard right now in the inside lane. But well, good luck telling that to both Kemp as well as Columbia, who are charging on the inside. But every time we see that, the inside lane does end up stalling out. The outside lane is just a bit too powerful.
Adam Kodal going middle. He is going to bring one car with him. That is, I believe, Ryan Pistana, and it is still in this race. I thought he was out a while ago. Thankfully, still in it. Columbia shuffling around on the nose of Matt Kemp. And I will say, I am surprised at the loyalty of several drivers in this race to Ryan Vargas. They've been pushing and pushing and pushing and just not lifting as Matt Kemp gets shuffled out now. Went to the top side of Arnold Columbia. That has backfired. Keith Sherman filled that hole. Now does Gabe Herschel. And Kemp goes backwards.
Oh, stack up on the outside, 33, 36, and 79. They all just barely survived. At 79, Paul Hemus was forced to move to the inside lane. He does have help, though, from the 7 of Jonathan Taylor behind him. That was a very, very close moment. But luckily, again, everyone still manages to keep it pointing forward.
On board with Paul Hemus, Zach Johnson on the top side. Whoa, that car got loose, and it looks like one car down low going to dip out. That is Adam Kodal.
I don't blame him. He's backing out. He's just going to sit behind this and just ride it out. I don't blame him one bit.
Your top 6, single file on the top side of the racetrack. 7th is the fight 3 wide. Columbia, Johnson in the middle. Bowers dips down low. One car way to the inside. I think that's Hagenstein, and it was. And now Bowers up alongside the 99 for 5th.
I'm very surprised that these guys in the middle are actually sticking right away. And never mind, there goes the 7 of Jonathan Taylor slinging right through. Does he go up in front of the 53? Yes, he does. I'm surprised these guys are now running the middle lane as opposed to the inside, but it might work. And right when I say that, things change so fast here. Jonathan Taylor moves to the inside, but he has no help behind him.
Yeah, Taylor going back quick. Melillo went with the middle line of Zach Johnson and Carson Bowers. And it's interesting, earlier in this race, if you recall, at the stage yellow, Carson Bowers actually ran over the back end of the 36 to Zach Johnson. It spun him down and it dug to nice. I'm kind of surprised here they're working together. But bygones are bygones, and Johnson wants to go to the front.
They're sticking right with each other. Somehow managing to at least, again, I'm still surprised that they're sticking in the middle lane. Johnson to the inside, Melillo follows. Thinking the inside lane might be a better bet.
Zach Johnson up the racetrack. Melillo goes with him. Paul Hemus there. Oh, one car on the wall. It's Brian Pistana. Big, heavy hit. And just like
luckily,
that, the Mark Savetka, you know what we're going to call that? The Pepsi Mark Kick machine out of the race. Well, not out, but out of the contention for the win, I'll say. It's a lot of damage.
I wonder what exactly had happened there. Everyone was doing pretty good though for the most part.
Oh.
But well, yeah, that might
right.
spell it right there. I feel like that's supposed to be more centered than to the right, but I don't think I'm that much of an expert. But that is very unfortunate, and it looks like it was contact between the 39. He moved down way too fast. I wonder what happened there, but also caught up Hagenstein as well as the 04.
Watch the 43 down low. Bowers checked up big time. That middle lane went backwards, and you know, I'll be honest, in that one, I think Pistana and Columbia kind of drove into each other.
It's possible to get a higher angle for what I'm saying. The 39 just moved way down, way too fast, while the 43 was following the 7. That's not the first time I said that today. That is very, very interesting. But, well, we'll see.
Look at it here.
Very, very
Watch the
crash.
blue roof of the 43 car down low. The black 39 up top.
I feel like that's a bit of both, to be fair, but
yeah.
I feel like it's 60-40, 60-40 in terms of the 39 moving down a bit too fast, and then 40% the 43 just happening to move up. As well as just the unfortunate coming together there.
I think it's tough, especially because Pistana kind of slowly moved up the racetrack. Columbia came down abruptly. And here's a replay of it from Adam Kodel's perspective, and he gets stacked up there with Tristan Hagenstein. And one thing leads to another, but hey, Andrew Schwartz gets through it.
Could have been a lot worse, I will say that.
And you know, I'll take the heat for this, I suppose, Gary. I just thought to myself, wow, we've been green for a little bit. Maybe we'll get this race knocked out, and unfortunately, they had other ideas there, but hey, everybody's now good on fuel taking this pit stop. This is very important. Sean Butler out first over Ryan Vargas, Michael Frisch, Cy Bowen will exit in fourth. How many crashes has he been involved in again?
Good question. I could probably look and get at least a rough idea.
Too many.
Yeah, that's true. Even one is too many.
Yeah, and really, it has not been his fault. I don't think any have been his fault. Bowen, just wrong place, wrong time. Most of the afternoon has been involved in a lot of accidents. Palmieri is back on the racetrack. You can see him there in the foreground. Malillo, 6th. I feel like he's been all over the place. I don't think he's really been in a crash yet. Zach Johnson has, though. He's 7th. Pacioli, 10th. Some of these guys, the way they're able to take these take these hits. I mean, Leighton Sabile's 9th. The way they're able to take these hits and keep rolling, it's impressive.
Sabile sneaking his way back up through the field is actually, I'd say, a lifesaver, to be honest. Yeah, I was not expecting him to be back up here in the top 10, especially. Maybe about top 15, give or take, but that's good to the testament of some of these drivers that are able to keep going and say, you know what, we'll just run with it.
Well, here we go. Since we have our handy-dandy list of who's been involved in incidents, at least of our Championship 12 right now, Playoff 12, if you will. Corey Heim's out of the race. Zach Nichols is close. I think he's still in it. He's trying to hang on. He's 9 laps down. He's slowly making some points back. And, hey, you know what? I even said Zach Nichols maybe just quit earlier. It's a good thing he didn't, right? He's picking up these little few points. But that's going to matter, because if he can pick up just another 2 or 3 spots from guys like Arnold Columbia, who looks like is done, Morgan Baird, well, I think Morgan's still in it, but I think Columbia's done. He had a lot of right front damage. If he's able to keep getting spots, he could hop over Corey Heim, and that would be huge going into North Wilkesboro and Kansas. Matt Kemp, quite frankly, I can't keep track of the guy. He's all over the place today. A really up and down race. Mercurio, same deal. Ryan Vargas has been on the front most of the day. He got a bunch of stage points. That's going to help. But Leighton Sabile, despite the issues for Sabile and Bowen, they keep trucking. They are up towards the front. Austin Moore is out of the race. Schwartz is still clean. Pacioli is still up there. Herschel has just kind of been hanging around, and Palmieri is trying to salvage it. It's a weird, weird day in Talladega.
That's a very weird day. I am my little notes here. I'm now switching from trying to get everybody all at once to at least the tentative stage points, and then just go from there. And then we'll see how the points fare at the end of this race. But it is shuffling like crazy, and it is even overwhelming me. So I'm glad. Hopefully, after the race of the points, we'll get updated relatively quickly, and then we'll see where everyone falls. But for sure, Corey Heim as well as Austin Moore, they could have had significantly better days, as they're both out and tentatively getting 0 points.
And if I had to be honest, and I guess I do, I think Palmieri and Moore are locked in. They have to win a race. I think Corey Heim's 10 points are going to help him. He might even be close to must-win territory. He's got 2 races, though. And I think we've seen a lot of performance out of the 11 car, of course. He's got 2 wins the last 2 weeks at Phoenix and Martinsville. Undoubtedly, he can win another race, especially at North Wilkesboro next week, following up on the short track trend. It's going to be a different story for Austin Moore and Palmieri. Moore out of the race, Palmieri down in 33rd. That's going to be tough. And even Zach Nichols, he didn't even make it to the stage in the top 10, where a lot of these other guys did. Consider it a must-win maybe for Zach Nichols, since he's got 5 fewer points than Corey Heim. They'll probably come out around each other in the standings. So it's going to be close. It's going to be very close for those guys, and I'm excited and also anxious to see the points breakdown after this afternoon at Talladega. But we've still got 25 laps, 26 laps to go. The green flag back in the air. A long single file line down low of drivers who just topped off on fuel. It was the money stop, and everybody's good on tires and gas. We're racing to the end at Talladega. Sean Butler, the big drive on the restart. Ryan Vargas down low. Cy Bowen in second for a brief moment. And Frisch is locked onto the 30 car.
He's absolutely shoving him through turns 3 and 4, and just like that renders the outside lane non-existent as the 33 of Martin moves out to the outside, but it's not really going to do much. Those drivers on the outside are going to have to get locked up very, very quickly, but with how strung out the inside lane is, it is working it's just working wonders right now. As Johnson moves up to the outside, they stack up a little bit, but everyone still keeps it running forward. No major stack-ups.
Zach Johnson checks up that line of Ford Martin, Sean Butler, Cy Bowen, and others, and they're really stacking up. They check up, though, and no crash. That was really heads-up driving by those guys.
That was a save at 100 and about 89 miles an hour, we'll give it.
And Butler's still on the back end of Ford Martin trying to get him back going here. I think that was where that mix-up originated, and it's about to happen again as the 23 gets the 33 real loose. Ford Martin, I think, is not used to this.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to run that super speedway and roll inside lane. Huge.
Oh, Adam Kodal. That's Mercurio down low. They check up, and he's back in line. What a catch there for the 41 car as the 23 is still getting pushed all over. Sorry, the 33 getting pushed all over by the 23, and there we go. Butler down low to the inside of Ford Martin. Bowers all over the place trying to block, and Butler in the middle gets to Frisch.
Cool. Butler was very indecisive. I was not really a fan of. He was going to try and go to the inside of Bowers. And I get what he was going for, but not really the best idea at this time, considering how sketchy everything has been right now. And man, it is just not over yet. No way.
Butler making some big moves here to try and follow Frisch. Now Frisch down low, Butler alone up top. I say alone, at least alone between those two, as Rotolo runs third, by the way. And look at Leighton Sabile. Look at the two out front. Ryan Vargas and Leighton Sabile tandeming a 2/10 away from Anthony Rotolo and company.
That's what I thought I'd see tandem drafting once again. Of course, it's a bit of on a more minuscule effect, but honestly, I missed that. And, well, here comes the outside lane, and they're definitely going to be missing that lead. I'll say that for now, because they're going to have to get resorted. It comes and goes in waves for each of these respective lanes. lanes essentially. As Sean Butler goes to the point with Carson Bowers behind Ford Martin, about third place, give or take.
Unbelievable run that lap for the 23, the 14, the 33. Rotolo falling back out of the top 10 now. A lap ago, he was third. One down low in front of him, that I believe was the 99 of Flumen. Yes, it was. Yeah, down to the bottom side in front of Rotolo, and now Hagenstein is clear down. He drops in front of Flumen. Oh, man.
That was close. A bit of contact around Rotolo, but they're all good. 7 now moves out in front of Vargas, so Taylor now leads the middle lane.
On board with Jonathan Taylor, down to the inside through the corner. A big run here for those guys. And he brought Ryan Vargas, Leighton Sabile, Michael Frisch, and everybody else with him. And they made hay that time through 3 and 4. That might bring this back to a double file race properly for the race lead. And yes, here comes a big run for the 7 and the 30.
Finally, a bit of time to relax, although it'd be very difficult to relax when you're in 2 separate lanes running 193 miles an hour. But it's not chaotic as chaotic as it was. Everyone all the way back to about, I'd say, I think 20th. Now the entire pack is now double file. Look at this.
Zach Nichols in front of the whole group. Jonathan Taylor up quickly in front of the 23 car. Nichols going to have to go all the way down to the bottom side and play nice. Try to get the entire field by him here. This is going to be tough, but it works out. Nichols down there. Oh, man. Jonathan Taylor nearly getting hooked by the 23. He nearly gets hooked again.
25.
Oh, man.
They are cutting it close.
Butler taking no prisoners. Butler's being real aggressive here. Now that we are inside of 20 laps to go, right there, 20 to go. Butler's being real aggressive. He's poking his nose around, does not want to be cut off, will not lift. And I think he cut Jonathan Taylor one of his few breaks of the race. That might be the only break he cuts him.
We'll see how things play out. Outside lane is charging again, but at the same time, Vargas is just on a roll with Taylor now. Vargas, as a whole, is just mastered essentially here on iRacing the art of super speedway racing essentially. He's got great teammates, he's got great pushers, he is a great pusher, as evidenced by the inside lane staying quite a ways ahead of Sean Butler, as we see here on the onboard. Oh, Frisch, I think he thought about it there.
19 laps to go. Once again, thank you for tuning in this evening to the LTLN 212. Left turns and loud noises. Check them out on Twitter, LTLN Podcast. On Instagram as well, LTLN Podcast. Sean Butler, a big run up top. He'll bring Carson Bowers and Ford Martin with him. Barrett Polhemus up there. Goes back to Melillo, Paul Fodd. Harley Pastana still in this race. Continuing on with all that damage. He is in the 14th position currently. As you can see, the Firelight Esports, number 88, carrying the Pit Stop TV logo there on the C pillar. Good to see Paul Fodd moving up in this race as well, by the way. He's had a rough season. The races that he's made and kind of made himself known in, they have gone kind of poorly, unfortunately. But good to see Paul making his way through this field here at Talladega Superspeedway. Of course, a wild card race, a big opportunity for him and that Firelight Esports team. IMB Racewear there on the side, Big Evil Designs. Light Stuff. And Firelight Esports and Light Stuff have each been partners of races this season. Go back to Atlanta and Rockingham for those. And a breakaway up front. Your top three, Taylor, Vargas, and Sabile. Taylor not in the playoffs.
Outside lane has stalled out a drastic amount. And the top three now have broken away. And Sabile, he hasn't even had to push anybody. He just had to follow directly behind Vargas. And he's letting Vargas do all the work. And honestly, that's probably the best option, considering, well, 3 cars pushing each other. It's doable, but it's very, very highly not recommended.
Couple of cars in front of these guys, Stalknet and Columbia. As Frisch catches right back up to the 25 of Sabile, side by side from 4th on back. And wow, look at the breakaway for the 30 and the 7.
know if Sabile did that intentionally or if he's trying to get a run up on his own. He's going to have the 23 of Sean Butler on the outside. Vargas backs off a bit as well as lap cars make their way to the inside lane, or as far inside as possible, just to stay out of everyone's way. That's probably why Vargas backed off. But does he make a move to the outside? Nope, stays right behind the 7. Sabile can't really go anywhere either.
See the whole front of the field here. Morgan Baird gets checked up by all of this. 3 wide. As they make it through another couple of lap cars. Taylor, a big block up to the top side in front of Butler. Bowers, Martin, all in line up top, helping now the 7-car lead this race. Ryan Vargas down low. He is your top playoff driver. Butler's got a win, by the way, from earlier this season at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but did not make the playoffs. Missed too many races. Was no longer eligible via the win and couldn't point his way in. Was bested by Palmieri for that final spot in the field last week at Martinsville Speedway, and tonight making his name known as he shoves the 7-car to the race lead.
I think at this point he's very subtly saying to Vargas, well, whatever you can do, I can do better. And it is proving wonders right now because Vargas has nearly dropped back to about the top 10 position in terms of the outside lane.
Your top 7, 8 or so single file. Vargas down to 10th alongside, it looks like, Matt Kemp. And now a big drive for the 30 and the 25, the 58, the 17. 3 of those cars in the playoffs. The 30, the 25, the 17.
Look at Sabile just absolutely shoving Vargas. Taylor moves down. He's got to make his money. Yeah, there he goes. All right. He's moving a bit too slow even for my liking. And yeah, at that moment, that was that's one of those times where you technically can push 3 cars at once, but please do not, because that will not end well for absolutely anybody. And now Vargas
crashing in the back.
Oh, man.
Doug Denice, I think, involved, and we have a caution. We are not done. It looks like the 16 of Cody Williams involved in this, and yes, he is. 9 laps down.
About around the 43 by the looks of it. And yes, it did.
Yeah, a couple of cars that have been having rough days already. Doug Denice involved. He was running 23rd, 24th. Somewhere in there, maybe 22nd or 21st. Oh, it really starts up with a 27 in the fence. Hagenstein. That checked up to 43.
I don't think he could get off the wall there. And Smith just barely got a piece of that. I think he should be fine, but I think Hagenstein, got on the outside wall and then just couldn't get off of the wall. And then here comes the 43 with nowhere to go. And then Cody Williams, especially with nowhere to go. He came in full speed.
They checked up real big in the middle. Matt Kemp checked up. Gabe Herschel. Paul Fod up the racetrack, gets on the fence. He gets out of it. But Hagenstein was in it more or less. Pistana checked up real hard. And, it all kind of happened from there. Zach Nichols behind it. And thankfully, I think they get through that without too much issue. I don't think we had any championship drivers, playoff drivers in that.
And by the looks of it, not necessarily. I'm looking at the onboard. Williams as well right on board Aaron Smith here.
A rare appearance for the yellow number 70 tonight. Rough night for Aaron Smith. A lot of damage early. Gets the nose taken off there.
I think mostly, from external. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, so he should be fine. This is easy. This is very easy for me to say, considering I'm just sitting here. Well, I'm just sitting here. But for Cody Williams, I feel like he could have slowed up a little bit more, considering they were. It was, in my opinion, a bit obvious that they were starting to wreck. But again, easy for me to say. So, but I get what Williams is going for, trying to get some positions before the caution came out. But at the same time, you have to think, well, do I want to keep my car, or do I want to try and go for positions and risk taking myself and or others out?
Carson Bowers, Sean Butler, Michael Fresh, some of the cars pitting here. And Butler going for a full stop. 4 tires and fuel. Johnson leaves ahead of the 23 car. Adam Kodal comes up behind him. Brian Mercurio taking the service along with Matt Kemp. And these are a couple of guys. Now here's a guy. Very quiet day, up and down. I mean, he's been as high as second. Hasn't led any laps tonight, has Brian Mercurio. Started 11th. but as low as 34th. In 20th, Matt Kemp right behind him. I believe, has not led laps, as high as second. Very similar days, and up and down roller coaster action for sure. Two of our top drivers of the series, of the season. And neither one is looking too great right now, trying to turn their nights around from this point to the end of this race. And Gary, you've raced, you do race, I'm sure still. It's difficult here at Talladega in this Gen 7, this next-gen car. It's not as straightforward as it used to be. That said, there is still opportunity. How important is it that those guys take every chance they get now to move forward?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I said. It's easy for me to say this because, again, it's easy. I still do race pretty much every week now at this point, at least once a week, get on, do a couple races here and there. So, like I said, it's easy for me to say it because I'm up here. But at the same time, yeah, it's the next gen. It's a whole different beast, essentially. It is, well, quite literally a beast. This car can take a lot of punishment, but at the same time, it's, I don't blame some of these drivers trying to go for some positions when they think, oh, okay, a caution's going to come out. The field will be frozen at the caution. At the same time, you have to preserve yourself and the others as well, just in case. Even if you lose positions, it's better to take the, in my opinion at least, it's better to take the position loss instead of going straight for the lead or, staying 2 wide instead of going 3 wide. But, in terms of the days that Mercurio's had, he's I think the only major incident he's been caught up in actually as well is just that crash at the stage end, and then he hasn't really been seen since. Essentially, hasn't been seen around the top 10 too much. So hopefully, it's definitely rattled him. I think at this point he's taking the more preservative route, preserving that car, preserving the the safety of just getting to the end until these final 10 laps. So we'll see we'll see if his mindset changes here, if he does decide to go back into the top 10 on this restart.
I think you're right. It might have spooked him a little bit as he's going to line up, it looks like 19th with a couple of cars that pitted that time through. That means Matt Kemp will now be 20th. I think both of these guys were spooked earlier from a couple of incidents, and they've just been trying to keep themselves in this race. They've done a great job of it. It's hard to say, though, where this race goes from here. I mean, it's really difficult, in my opinion, to go against the 30 of Ryan Vargas. With how strong he's been, it'll be a 10-lap run to the end as of this restart, and I'm sure we'll get at least one more yellow. I think the chance... we don't have Larry Mack around, we don't have trends, but the chance of a green-white checkered tonight are definitely high. I think if we had a mostly green race, had been green to the end here, it'd be different. But with 10 laps to go, stacking the field back up, 28 of them on the lead lap all the way back to Manon Rahman. I don't see this race finishing on this restart.
Yeah, I don't see it would be very impressive for a whole green flag run, but I feel like what we're going to see is what we saw from the start. Everyone fanning out different various lines and just everyone trying to essentially just go for it. But take that and then multiply that by, I'd say, about 5. And then that will probably be the last 10 laps here.
So if you're Ryan Vargas here, what do you do? I mean, clearly he's choosing the outside, or Taylor beat him. I'm not sure. But he'll be lining up on the top side. He's got the win from Daytona. A new partnership with Butler Built Race Seats. That always helps. And quite frankly, I think the strongest car tonight, 29 laps led. I think at the same time, a lot of his strength has been because of who's been pushing him. Now he's got Cy Bowen behind him in the 17 car. Is that the way to go? We'll see. Leighton Sabile down low. They might try and link up, actually. Watch for that potential move as we get ready to have 10 laps to go. Jonathan Taylor down low, nosing ahead. Looks like he's the race leader as they're scored. So watch the 7, watch the 30, the 25. Green flag back in the air. 10 laps to go in the LTLN 212. Up through the gears, a lot of red cars in this field. Taylor nosing ahead, Sabile shoving him some more, trying to get that 7-car rolling. It is working. Sabile doing a lot of hard work there, trying to get Jonathan Taylor out front.
Vargas moves out to the outside lane. I was going to say Vargas might want to go with Sabile, but he got shuffled out, essentially. Well, not even shuffled out. He just didn't get a chance to move to the inside, so now he's got help. Vargas does, from Frisch on the outside, as well as Sean Butler. Keep an eye on those two. They have Brian Mercurio just behind them. He's sneaking his way through, as the top two will lead the... Oh, man. Rotolo saves it.
Rotolo went up to try and block the top side and take advantage of that line, and Ryan Vargas said, nope, see you later. And went right to the outside of Michael Frisch and Sean Butler and Brian Mercurio now, as Taylor goes up top. Vargas all over the place with help from Frisch. Vargas now no help up top. Here comes Mercurio to help that 30 car.
They were both indecisive. Vargas did not want to get behind the 7, and that is almost what completely cost him the entire race. Now he's going to be forced to stick behind the 7 here of Jonathan Taylor.
I think the crash is going to come from the 58 or 23.
We're going to have to see. It's going to be it's going to be very, very close.
By the way, Austin Moore, rather, back in this race as the leader. Sabile down onto the apron. Fluman got him loose and leads that lap. Melillo now second. Here comes Frisch. Big closing rate. Butler squeezes through. Nearly 3 wide, 4 wide. Oh, Melillo on the apron. What a save. Catch your breath. I'm getting mine back.
Have a chance. Oh, Butler nearly gets
4 wide.
It's going to be 4 wide.
Oh, they're crashing Rotolo. Ford, Martin, and more.
Now we have a chance to catch our breath, I think. Whew.
Oh, and Andrew Schwartz missed so many crashes today involved in that one. Cy Bowen as well in the 17 car. We see him leaving the crash site. Looks like he is significantly more wrinkled up. Oh, wow, the nose.
I don't think that's supposed to look like that.
No, it is not. At least not when it rolls away from Chevrolet's factory floor. That is not how that car should be looking.
You know what? That contact is from the 17 getting into the right rear quarter panel of the 67.
Well, let's take a look back at it. Well, actually, let's go back a little further and check that out for the 53 car of Melillo. That real big catch. Third in line right here. Watch him.
I was going to say at this point that that Sabile was leading, then he got shuffled out. And
got turned down a little bit by the 25 car Sabile. They checked up. I think Melillo was being just indecisive enough that Sabile didn't know whether or not he should lift. But then the 5 car right in the center of this, how does he get turned around? Rotolo. Oh, by the 33.
Oh.
Wow. Oh! Yeah, Cy Bowen lost the nose because of Andrew Schwartz happening to be there.
I think for Melillo, I don't even think he was indecisive. I think he was looking in his mirror wondering, where in the heck do I go before I get shuffled out? So he got, Melillo in a sense got very, very lucky. Riding on board Cy Bowen here. Off turn 2, and then just like that, you think it's just a regular stack up, wait for it, and there it is. You don't know until you see it. Right until it's too late, and
really unfortunate stuff. Let's go look back at it from the perspective of car 67, Andrew Schwartz. Such a clean race to this point, one of the few championship competitors that we had marked still in it, even.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but I think we're closing in on the time limit as well.
We may be. That's a really good point. As here's the crash for Andrew Schwartz. Just everything piles up in front, goes low to miss it, hooked right there. Blindsided.
It's one of those, if I was just 2 lanes lower.
Wow. A lot went wrong that lap. This playoff picture is really all over the place right now.
Yeah, that's why. That's pretty much why I'm not even trying to just do the tentative points. It is that wild. It would take a lot of work. So I'll just let the series admins handle that at this point. But man,
look at it again there. You see Rotolo in the wall hard. That was big contact. between the 17 and the 67.
That was a single-digit car. I think that was Dylan Smith. Yeah, that had just nearly got collected in that.
Yeah, the one car
came across his nose, but just avoided that.
Let's check out the onboard from Rotolo's perspective as Ford Martin turns him around. Right there, the contact just gets him going. And hey, Palmieri's back in the race. Good to see him out there, but man. Adam Kodal, by the way, right through the middle of it. Beautiful wreck avoidance from him in the 40 car, or sorry, the 04 car. And well, we've got, I think, 4 laps to go when we take the green flag again. It might even be 3, but I believe it'll be 4 as we stack up with 5 to go this time. And the bar visuals 58 currently leads. That's Michael Frisch. And I said in that run, I thought the crash would come from the 58 or the 23, just from their sheer aggression. Fair enough, it was not either one of them, and that's nothing personal at all. That's just they were being aggressive. Those were the 2 cars that were making moves. And it was getting a little bit hairy there for a little bit. At this point, gloves are off. Everybody had better be making race-winning or what they think will be race-winning moves.
Throughout all of this, where has Sabile disappeared off to? About 10th place, alongside Melillo.
Yeah,
about 12th place. He's starting outside, so.
So yeah, a recap then of championship competitors. Ryan Mercurio is going to line up 4th. Ryan Vargas, I think, is going to line up 3rd. They will. Matt Kemp will be lining up 8th. Looks like Leighton Sabile will line up 12th. Timmy Pacioli will be lining up about 16th position, 14th position, somewhere in that, I think 16th. Gabe Herschel will line up 18th, 19th, somewhere around there. Andrew Swartz, I think, will line up 22nd.
My 4th by the looks of it.
Yeah, Cy Bowen about 25th spot. Palmieri 30th. He is 4 laps down. He is the first playoff driver, by the way, 1 or more laps down. Zach Nichols 9 laps down, currently trying to catch back up. Good to see him back out there. And Austin Moore has just passed Kevin Reed. And I mean, look at the state of things for Austin Moore. This is important, though. Every point's going to matter. I don't know that it's going to get him into the next round. This is already a big hit to his season. He's likely going to need a win. But I admire the effort, certainly. This is big time for Austin Moore to get up there and get some spots back. 5 more laps. He has a chance to get some points by passing David Cabrera, but that's about it. He'll finish no better than 36th tonight.
Going to be keeping a very close eye here on the lights for the flag, essentially. Because we could get the white flag early, but we'll have to find out.
It'll be close. 4 laps to go. Michael Frisch, the inside. Jonathan Taylor, the outside. And into the Geico restart zone, where green flag potentially for the final time this evening. Here we go. Gloves are off, Gary. This is going to be tough. And up top, Jonathan Taylor, no help from Mercurio. Is that a strategy move from the 41 car?
We'll see. In fact, he might want to try and get hooked up sooner, and that might help. Paul Hemus left now with no help. 41-7 nose to tail. There goes the 30th. Vargas as there's a car off. They save it. Vargas to the lead.
4 wide in the middle of all of that. Sabile, a big move. Yeah, these guys are about to really do some crazy stuff. It'll be 3 to go when they get back, if they get back to the start-finish line. Ryan Vargas leading over Jonathan Taylor. Brian Mercurio 3rd. Paul Fott, he's 4th. Crashing. They might leave it green to try and get this race in. No, yellow. And Ryan Vargas, did he just win this race?
I think so. Wow.
Zach Johnson, one of the cars involved, and he will be done.
Looks like that all started around the 44 and 33.
Sean Farr involved. Ford Martin, it sounds like, involved. He was pushing the 44 Manon Raman.
Palmieri also involved.
And take a look at it here as they just took a low percentage opportunity to the inside. That was just... not really sure about that.
Yeah, I don't really want to be that person. I get that they're going for points in the positions and all that, but at the same time, not a...
Neither one of these two drivers, I hate to get it this way, neither one of these two drivers are in the playoffs. And this is going to impact playoff drivers further. Not saying they can't race for their own seasons, but that feels low percentage to me. That sweeps up the 45, the 17, the 3, and I mean, a lot of their days are already made. I think Cy Bowen takes the most impact out of that crash as far as playoffs go. But even just as far as ending the race, I personally, and this is a very personal opinion here, Gary, I feel that was low percentage. I think that might have not been the way to go for the 44 and 33, and hopefully they kind of evaluate that and learn from it. That's all we can really ask for.
Yeah, I hate to, not necessarily call people out, but I hate to be like, yeah, that could have been better, is what I will say. And
there is a yellow flag flying from Barney. Now I can't see the session timer.
GWC.
Looks like we're going to get green, white, checkered. Or at least the sim is setting up for it. I don't see the session timer. We should at least have, I would guess, until about 11:18. Well, when this... I think we're good on time. I think this race will extend for a while if we need it to. So Ryan Vargas has not won this race yet, from what I can tell, unless you see something different.
At the moment, well, I do have to take into account that the timer also does, I believe, take the grid time into account as well.
Yes, I'm checking myself.
And it does. So it took about a minute into account, so we will see.
Yeah.
You know what?
I see it. A 1 hour, 40-minute time limit. We are at 1 minute 42. Yes, we've been given the white flag, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm seeing the ATVO timer now. It's consistently counting down. It's no longer giving the estimation, so it should be white flag this time by, I believe. Let me double check the flag state here. Yeah, no change just yet.
Well, hey, I know we've got a lot of drivers out in the YouTube and Twitch chat. If one of you is out there, you might know more than we do right now. And that's the interesting thing about sim racing broadcasting sometimes, right? Is realistically, to break the fourth wall a little bit, these productions, well, this production right now is being put together by two people. One is myself, the other is Gary Weaver. And we don't have the extra people to go out there, check timers, check all of that. But you know what I am going to do after this? Is we are going to set up a timer specifically for the session. And yes, final lap. This is it. Ryan Vargas is going to win at Talladega Super Speedway by virtue of time limit. And I think that takes him back to his late model and legend car days as Frisch and Butler do some friendly banging in the back. But 100%, Ryan Vargas is going to go to victory lane for the second time this season. And how about that? Our two Truck Series drivers in the playoffs are the first two to 2 wins each. Corey Heim the last 2 weeks. Ryan Vargas today makes it 2 wins in the season for him. And his ticket is punched to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Championship 4 race, the season finale in the UFL Elite Series. Ryan Vargas is competing for a championship this season.
You know, to be fair, the race distance was originally scheduled for 80 laps, and guess where we're at now? 80 laps. Actually, I forgot as well. That was the countdown to the white flag. So we still have one more lap to go, I think. But effectively, though, that still doesn't doesn't dissuade Vargas's win. Still a fantastic job by both he and Taylor and Mercurio.
What are you hearing from race control? Because these guys are doubling up.
Absolutely nothing right now at the moment. We will find out. Wonder if it's going to still try and at least...
I rescind all of the words I just said, because they could just send this for a...
quote, hold on a moment. So I'm listening to race control right now, so we'll find out.
They could send this for a full send-it race for the win.
I don't entirely know how the session handles a green-white checker when it comes to time limit expiring, so it might run it through. But genuinely, I have no idea.
All right, so rescind everything we just said. Maybe Ryan Vargas isn't sent to Charlotte just yet. Maybe he's not the second to 2 wins. We don't know. Again, the beauty of sim racing broadcasting. If you haven't seen everything just yet, wait for it, because the next time you broadcast, you'll probably see what you think is everything, and then just wait again, because I guarantee you, within the next couple of weeks, you'll see something new you didn't think you'd ever see in sim racing broadcasting. And here we are. This is a new scenario for me personally.
This is why I say it's never over until it's actually over. It's kind of different in real life versus here, but here it's definitely taking into account it's not over until it's over.
I wonder if they're going to let these guys restart from the restart zone to the checkers.
They are not. They just threw the yellow again. The pace car has gotten the message a bit too late, apparently, and it's not looking at their dashboard, so it won't pull out on track. But I believe at this point, yeah, they will end it under yellow.
So for the
pace
second
car does
time,
have its lights on.
The second time in 2 laps, I believe Ryan Vargas is your winner at Talladega Superspeedway. I didn't think we'd have one of these kinds of finishes in iRacing, as far as we don't know who's winning. But I think it's Ryan Vargas. And there's your ticker on the left side of how these guys are currently pacing. And I think everybody's just trying to wait.
You know what I think is happening? Race Control now just said if it's going to give us a green-white checker, we might as well go. And I think I know what's happening here. Hopefully something Iverson can look into. This is an interesting scenario, and something I don't think was accounted for is that a time limit expiring and then trying to extend it to end the race, it will extend the green-white checker instead.
Huh. This is definitely a new scenario for me.
So it seems green-white checkers don't take time limit expiration into account. That's a new thing for me. Yeah. And more than likely something that even I wasn't expecting. And I considering think I'm seeing the final lap still being lap 83.
You know what? You were right. It has been extended to 83 laps, and it has been continuously extended.
I think the best thing here is the field should just agree that what's happened has happened, and just run single file very slowly, just to get everything over with and official. Just to have a gentleman's agreement of this is where everything is at.
Well, what's fair to one person isn't fair to the other, right? It's
that's what Race Control is saying right now. It's just like we're aware. It's one of those. Well, it's a lose-lose situation no matter what we do.
What would be fair to Ryan Vargas would not be fair to the next guy, and I think they're going to let them race. So ignore the ticker up top. We don't know what's happening. It's looking like they're sending him for a restart. We're going to have a green-white checkered, one single attempt to get this race complete. Ryan Vargas launched early. Did he forget about the restart zone?
I wonder. Oh, there's the white flag. Okay.
So the race has been allowed to restart. What's the flag stand showing? That's a white flag, or a green actually. It's letting them race. We are green. It's a 1-lap shootout, it looks like. Look at this group. Mercurio, Taylor, that's not going to work for Ryan Vargas. Where's he going to go? White flag by Whiplash Simcams. There we go. White flag again. Jonathan Taylor pushing Brian Mercurio. This could be the biggest win for Brian Mercurio all season. Well, it will be. If he can get it. Here comes Sabile down low. Taylor to the inside. He's going to try to play spoiler. Butler in the middle. 3 wide. No clue who's going to win it from here. And run to the trial. Mercurio down low. Butler blocks. He gets hooked. Melillo goes through. Who's going to make it to the line? Justin. No. Frisch wins.
So I said I was speechless before.
Wow. Frisch, Melillo, Butler, your top 3. I'm astonished. And as I was saying, what would be fair to Ryan Vargas to call the race earlier would not have been fair to Frisch, right? Frisch just had a chance to race for the win.
I'm very closely listening to Race Control here to see what they do, and if anything. But wow.
Sabile 5th. So as far as your championship drivers, your playoff drivers, Kemko's 13th, Pacioli 15th, Mercurio 19th, Bowen 20th. This broke down big time at the end. Schwartz 22nd. But Michael Frisch is going to victory lane, it looks like, this evening. We don't know just yet, though. This may come back.
Unofficial, yeah.
This is very unofficial, but our best indication is that restart will stand. That is what iRacing did. That is what the sim told these guys to do, and Michael Frisch, I believe, is going to be your winner. As far as letting the sim do this, that this is your race winner, currently.
They did say they are reviewing, so we are waiting in the meantime. I'm looking myself. Frisch did dive below the yellow line, so I don't, and then back up, so I don't know if I don't know if race control is going to take that into account, but technically Frisch passed below the yellow line, passed below Butler and Melillo, so we'll see how this gets handled, to say the least. I am as confused as anybody watching this.
Confusing moment for sure. That's definitely an understatement right now. This was the restart. Vargas, to his own detriment, launched early. What I initially thought was they were going to go green from the restart zone to the checkers, and I think that's what Vargas may have thought as well.
Yeah.
That was not the case. And Mercurio had this big run, and quite frankly, I thought they were going to line up the way they were lined up. I thought they were just going to go with him. That move there broke things down because Paul Fodd's now out of it, then Sean Butler's third. Jonathan Taylor in turn 3 decides to go low. And that completely ruins the race of the 41 car. There, I thought Sabile had a big thing. He went down to the inside. Taylor goes low in the 7.
They did a great job not wrecking there. That is fantastic.
And Frisch in all of this, I was speechless right here. There was so much happening. Mercurio took a big hit. I'm still not sure what happened. To be honest with you, watching it once on the replay, I still have no clue.
I feel like it was, like you said, what my thought was that Vargas wanted to just secure the win, but since you mentioned, he thought he was going to get the white flag since it was showing that on our timing tower. Even I thought that was it. Hang on. Listen to race control. 53 passed below the yellow line whole car. So did the 58. Winner is the 53 of Justin Melillo from race control.
Wow.
They will be reviewing every finishing position after to account for that. So what a win for Melillo.
Wow.
And what a race.
So the ruling is that Michael Frisch, I guess Michael Frisch, the ruling from what I can tell, from just that little bit from you, Gary, is Michael Frisch is being basically noted as deciding to go to below the yellow line on his own. And frankly, that's supported right there. His decision to go on to the apron.
Yeah, they said two tires below the yellow line is safe to avoid essentially a Justin Haley situation from Xfinity. 4 tires is not safe, and that is the penalty, which I feel like that is fair. I feel like that is a relatively fair decision. So right here, Frisch could just stay right here.
Butler comes up though.
And then at this point, yeah, I could see why Frisch would dive down low, but he dived down just too far. And with the speed he was carrying, look at how far he keeps going left. He's all the way to the paint there. And I feel like that's a very agreeable call there with 4 tires below being unsafe.
It won't be a popular one.
Yeah, it's definitely not popular. Yeah, I feel like everyone is very unhappy. I don't have the driver's radio up either, just race control for sanity purposes, but I feel like that's a fair call. Yeah, in terms of at least the yellow line rule. The whole finish, wild.
As far as the yellow line rule, I think that is probably the best way to enforce that particular facet of racing. But then here's Ryan Vargas. He goes down below on his own as well. The argument can be made that he's missing a crash, I suppose, because they do crash, but that's going to open up a Pandora's box. There's going to be a lot to sort through here, and I do not envy race control this evening. They'll be burning the midnight oil for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I probably jinxed it when I said earlier, I'll just wait until after the race when all the points are sorted.
Yeah.
We are going to be waiting quite a while, so keep an eye on if I don't have anything here by the end of this, keep an eye on Piss Out TV socials as well as the UFL socials as well, because that's going to be this is going to be something.
This goes back to what's fair for one person is not fair for another.
Yep.
What makes one person happy here will not make the next happy. This is... there's no easy call. There's no right call, really. There is only the best that they can do. Here's Melillo's point of view, by the way. He comes down and ultimately kind of hooks the 41. We'll get him to look at that. That is also, I think, a big part of this that might be taken into account. I'm sure, I'm a sim racer myself. Just like anybody else out here, I've heard all the arguments. I guarantee you that's going to be an argument that's made as, hey, Melillo comes down the racetrack, cuts down, and hooks the 41. Right there. Every argument's going to be this is going to be...
There's going to be this is going to be a while. Like I said, keep it on the socials because we don't really have anything at this point. I was so excited. I was going to be... I came in prepared. I had my little notes set up and everything for potential points. Everything that happened in the last 5 laps has just thrown all that out the window.
Here's the onboard for Sean Butler. Thought he was going to win the race at a couple points here on this last lap. And then trying to block Mercurio, gets himself turned, trying to save it up the racetrack here. Drifting, contact with Melillo. Cross the line in third. Potentially scored a second.
I was going to say, on the bright side for Sean Butler, I think I'd want to hope for even his sake, that even for our sake, that he is definitely second place.
Well, we'll find out, I'm sure, at some point in the next few hours, but in unprecedented circumstances, let's bring in race winner Justin Melillo behind the wheel of Car 53. And Justin, we wanted to get your paint scheme on social media. Couldn't quite get to it in time, but that's okay. It's going to be all over social media after this one. We think right now, unofficially, the race winner. First of all, what's your first reaction to that?
That was just an absolutely insane race. Honestly, I had no idea how it was going to end up tonight. I had a lot of fun when we were racing. I didn't really have too much fun doing all the pacing that we did, but I mean, I was content with an 8th place finish when we, ran out of time. The time limit ran out, and then I guess iRacing decided they wanted to give us one more shot at wrecking it up, and I feel really bad for a lot of the guys. I feel bad for Brian. I obviously wasn't trying to get into his left rear or right rear there at the end there. He and Sean had gotten together, and I was just moving down the track just to catch the right rear to try and pull him back, and that really sucks for him. We've been racing each other for a long time, that Turtle Beach scheme and this scheme that I had been running for years, that was iconic back when we were doing VSR and Unser and all that stuff and Open Speedway and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't really know what to think. I mean, I don't really know the rules as well as I wish I did, but I feel like Michael P crossed the line and he should be celebrating as the winner. If it ends up with this 53 grabbing a win, though, I will take that. It's incredible to just be in the position, man. There are a lot of good names in this league. There are a lot of great drivers in this league, and just to be in the conversation is just incredible in itself.
Especially on your part-time basis. Of course, you got a lot going on with traction and everything else you do in sim racing. So I guess how nice is it as a driver to be able to come into this league and pretty much just let go a little bit, just have some fun with a lot of really cool friends, your untitled friends, as you say on Twitter all the time. Just have fun for a couple hours.
Yeah, for sure. The Untitled Friends, we go way back. It's been since some of these guys I've known since 2008, 2007, that area. Some of them I've known since the middle of the 2010s, and we've just been racing each other on and off. And it's so cool that everybody has pretty much gone off and found their career in motorsports somewhere. A lot of us have gone on in our own separate paths and directions, and to be able to come back into a league like the Untitled Friend League and kind of relive those glory days when we were just kids racing online on Enter 2003, it's just really cool. And I don't get the finishes that I always wish for, and it does get frustrating at times, but I mean, it's iRacing itself is one of the best racing platforms out there, and just to be able to do this at somewhat of a competitive level, whether it's here, whether it's at FTF, whether it's at Monday Night Racing, it's whether it's at Core, it's just always a fun time to put on the wheel and bolt it down and go race with my Untitled friends.
Absolutely. And I'm going to backtrack a little bit, admittedly. That whole time limit situation, of course, from our perspective, we had no clue what was happening. I think you're one of the drivers that keeps the broadcast up while you race. I'm sure you were. We had no clue what was happening. We didn't know right from left, really, in that situation. So how confusing was that for you guys as drivers? What did you know? What didn't you know?
Honestly, I don't run a lot of timed races. I do know that I have seen in the past that it does get kind of messed up sometimes with these races in the way that they end, when there's things like green white checkers or not having overtime or whatever. It gets confusing, and no, I don't think anybody really knew what to expect there. I personally thought that we were going to get a green checker. That's what I was planning on. I thought we were going to get the green flag, go 100 feet, get the checkered flag, and be done with it. I guess there was I've seen that before. Like there have been documented races, like I believe at the Podium 500 qualifying races, that's happened before. They must have updated something, or maybe it has something to do with the green white checker itself. Those being turned on, nobody really knew what was going on at all. But I mean, they cut us loose, and I'm thankful for that, because it was a really fun and interesting way to end what was an already chaotic event.
It's definitely going to keep the chaos high as far as the championship battle. But as far as you, is this the first time for you? This is the first time for me in my years of sim racing. Never seen anything like it.
No, definitely not. It's definitely one of those races that people are going to talk about and reference back to, and you know what? I'm all for it. I'm all for references and referencing back to old races and whatnot. I mean, I pulled up 3 old races from earlier in my sim racing career for this throwback that I'm running tonight, and I remember each one of those races like almost exactly as they played out, and I'm sure probably like 10 years from now, this will be one of those that I'm referencing back to again in another type of throwback situation. So it's just really cool to be able to represent Traction, to be able to race with my Untitled friends, and if I'm the winner tonight, I don't know. If I get sent to the back for whatever reason, I don't know. Either way, it was fun being here.
Maybe this is one of those races that gets a Traction article. Who knows? I'll throw the little thing in there. But 2 laps led, it looks like, maybe a third. We'll find out at some point. Justin, if you are the winner, congratulations. If you're not the winner, congratulations. Anyways, second place in all of this hectic mess is certainly a good spot to be in when it's all said and done. And hey, it's a fun night with our Untitled friends. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you. That's Justin Melillo. Possibly from first, possibly from second, possibly from the Shadow Realm. We don't really know anymore. But Gary, let's bring in Sean Butler, who we currently believe is finishing second. Is scored as third. We'll find out.
Sean Butler finishing in third second, who knows at this point. Somewhere on the track, he finished the race. There was a checkered flag involved. We know that much. Sean, I haven't seen you in forever, to be honest. I'm pretty sure I've seen you around on Twitter. Actually, I think I confused you with a different Sean Butler. I'm not sure, but either way, been a while regardless. And that was one heck of a race. You did fantastic. Ignoring the entire finish for a second, you did fantastic with running up in the front for a good majority of that race in the second half, as well as just being able to push, being able to get push, and just leading that outside lane. So walk us through how that was going.
Well, I mean, as my buddy Blake McCandless likes to say, out of all the Talladega races there have been, this certainly was one of them. But I don't know, man. This was probably the most chaotic Talladega race I've ever been a part of, easily. And I don't know. I don't even know where to start. Like this race, I had a good qualifying run, lost out in the pole by 1,000th of a second, so that's always fun. But it was fun running up towards the front, man. You know, that time where we all got lined up, and I was just sitting there pushing Ryan Vargas out there, just keeping him up there. We were all that's the safest I felt throughout this entire race. But it's crazy to go, like, you know, from the front to the back, to the front again, back to the back. It seemed like every time I was able to push somebody up there, I would just get, I was suddenly by myself, and I'm just back in 20th, and I got to do it all over again. So to be able to at least have a chance here in the final lap, even how chaotic it was, it was just luck. I mean, on my part, I mean, I had 2.5 minutes of damage after that first wreck, you know, took a lot of us out, and to be able to, I guess, temporarily, unofficially finish second in this thing, I don't know. I'll take it, you know, for the amount of craziness that happened here.
Especially with the run you had off turn 4, as we see the slow motion replay, that middle, that split to 3 wide through the middle. You saw the gap and you went for it, and it's one of the good cases of to put the quote in 3 words of the meme format: if gap car.
Yes.
So in a way, that's worked out great for you. But man, what was your thoughts with how everything was being handled in the final, I guess, 2 laps, 5 laps, however that was, pretty much just the final section? Because we here were expecting, even what Andrew said, is what's good for one person isn't good for someone else, and then the whole thing of essentially the race being extended, and we didn't expect it. What were you expecting there?
I mean, I can just echo what Justin was saying. Me, him, and Frisch and everybody were all we had a bunch of people in our Discord channel in the FTF side of things, and we didn't know what to do. Like, we're the same with you guys. We're like, what the heck is going to happen? And then we thought the race was going to be over, and then all of a sudden it lets us race it out, and suddenly we had to get back into, all right, well, we gotta finish these last couple laps back into the racing mode, and just to watch everything unfold and be a part of it was just nuts. Off at turn 4, I was, as you said, shout out to another buddy of mine, Timu Toika. I think he might have been the one who coined that, just the if gap car. So that's what I was thinking. But I was fortunate it worked. I thought I was going to get side drafted and just kind of fan out, but I was able to clear Brian, and I thought I was in front of Brian just enough going into the tri-oval to where he wouldn't hook me, to where it would just kind of push me. And then I looked back and I had a little bit of left rear damage from that wreck we were all in after I got it all fixed, and that was just the cause of that. So I feel really bad for Brian. He had a unique race too, just like everybody else. So I feel bad. I robbed him of a good finish. So I'll probably take blame for that one. But I don't know, man. This is going to be one of the ones for UFL that we talk about at least until next week. But I'm just happy I was able to partially survive all the carnage, and, you know, like I said, be in a good spot to, you know, be leading off of 4. I thought I made the right move. I probably should have stayed high when Brian made the move low. But there's no way you can tell what's going to happen at that point. And, you know, I was just hoping for a good finish. So, like I said, I'll take it. Whatever comes about, you know, be it post-race penalties or whatever the officials decide, you know, whatever happens. But this was certainly one for the history books for sure.
And you mentioned next week. Well, next week we throw 40 cars onto North Wilkesboro. What are your thoughts heading into that? Because keeping in mind, if I remember correctly, for the All-Star race in May, I think they're doing 24 cars. So basically 20 times 2. How's that going to? What are your thoughts heading into that?
Oh man, if this race was any indicator, that is going to be just an absolute brawl in every sense of the word. I will say unfortunately, every single race at North Wilkesboro I've ever done on iRacing has not been good. So it's just been 5 laps wreck, 5 laps wreck. So I hope that's not the case with this. I hope by the grace of the iRacing gods we get some runs in that, but I'm just gonna go into there with unfortunately low expectations and hope for the best and just survive. Really, that's all we can really do. I'm gonna pay close attention to what Michael Frisch is doing at North Wilkesboro because he is by far that track, and so we'll go there and attempt to bring this Huffman Racing Radio Mustang back in one piece again. So that's going to be an interesting one again for sure. So all y'all still watching, you want to see more carnage in that? I might hate to say you ain't seen nothing yet for this one this week. North Wilkesboro is going to be a time.
I don't know if tempting the sim racing gods is a good idea,
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll definitely see how everything goes. Thanks for your time, Sean, and congratulations on. At this point, we'll just go with finishing the race. I think that's a good catch-all at this rate.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Gary. You and Andrew do a great job week in and week out. So major props to you for sticking through this thing as we did, and a big shout out to Huffman Racing Radio, Huffman Racing, Landon Huffman, all those guys doing their thing at Hickory Speedway week in and week out up there for their late model program. So go check them out wherever you get your podcast. Huffman Racing Radio, it's a good time. But yeah, we'll buckle up and we'll get them next week. Thanks again, guys.
And hey, Sean, before you head out, I got a question, and you might have answered it already, but I've been trying to follow the Discord chat. I've been trying to follow how drivers feel on this, and I'm just curious. I saw Ryan Vargas mention that he had 15 people telling him it was a run into the checker, and I think Belillo even reflected that. We thought it would be a run from the restart zone to the checkered flag. Vargas launched early for that. What did you and your camp feel like that was going to be there at the end?
We thought it would be the same thing. Like we were like, because Justin said it happened before in one of the races he's done where like same situation, it just when green and checkered came out, like right after the green came out. So that's what we all thought was going to happen. And I guess Vargas, as he said, it was under the impression that that was the case, but it wasn't. We were all just as shocked as probably he was to see that the green came out and not the checkered. So that's a bummer for him. I mean, he definitely had a great race. He was definitely going to win the race for sure, or at least be in contention. He was up front all race. It was fun working with him. So I don't know. That's for the officials to sort out with this one, unfortunately. And I don't envy them right now. They got for this whole end of this race, they got a mess to clean up over there. But I know they'll make good decisions. We kind of gave them a hard time, during the race, myself included. I'm not gonna lie there. So I kind of. We kind of like what the heck's going on and all that, just in the heat of the moment kind of stuff. But they'll get it figured out, and ultimately they'll make the right decision, hopefully. And Jonathan and Eric and all them, they're gonna have a long next probably hour or two to kind of sort this out. But hopefully, it's not too crazy for them. And I guess we get this out of the way now. And if any further instances occur in next season or any seasons after, we know what's going to happen. So I guess we can learn the hard way this time, and we'll be ready for it, for the next time it happens.
I like a lot of what you just said there, Sean. One more question. Have you ever?
Right now, I want to say I have, but no, I definitely have never until tonight. So I don't think anybody has ever before tonight it happened. So that's, like I said, if all the Talladega races that have happened, this certainly was one of them.
That's one way to put it, Sean. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, boys.
And Gary, have you ever?
No, I have never, and quite literally in this case.
Oh man,
I will say now that I've had time for it to sit in and to think about it, and to break the fourth wall just a little bit. What I can tell what happened is that essentially the time expired under caution, so it gave the white flag, but because it triggered a green-white checker finish, this session didn't exactly know what to do. And considering no doubt that this probably hasn't even been thought about before, and I don't blame them. I believe the time limit, or not the time limit, but the session wouldn't really end until the caution was ended. It can't really give out a caution and a checkered flag if it's already under caution, and the white flag. It's a whole thing of something overrode something when it shouldn't have, is my understanding of it. I could be wrong. I'm not an employee. I just exist here. I was just gonna forward the info to iRacing and see if they could do anything about it as well. And hopefully they can, because this is a whole new scenario that I never would have thought about.
Yeah, frankly, this is a weird situation, a weird, very specific set of circumstances that is very difficult to come up with. But if you haven't seen it, if you haven't freshly seen it, I'm sure in a month, maybe not in a month for us, but 6 months, right? Nobody's going to be thinking of this right in the forefront of our minds. Definitely the most unique finish I've ever seen on iRacing. The most controversial, maybe, also with it. And so I just want to urge drivers, be patient with the admins. The series admins are here to help everybody in this situation. Nobody is here to upset anyone. That's not the goal. The admins, be it Eric Webler, John Palmieri, anybody trying to run this series or help run this series, is just here to try and have fun on a Wednesday night, just like the rest of you drivers. I know there's a lot of very frustrated people. Some have very, very good reasons to be frustrated. Potentially all of them. It's a really weird situation. Just remember that the people who are admins are humans. So whether you are very valid in those feelings or not, just take it easy on guys that are just trying to help run the league and find the right decision here, because this is one I've never seen, and one I doubt we see again. It takes a very specific timing of the caution coming out, enforced in green-white checkered exactly as the time expires in the session. And you called it before we had that 4-lap restart. Gary, it was going to be close. It was maybe going to happen, maybe not. And for sure, we found the weirdest set of circumstances I think we ever could have. But let's go through the results as we believe they stand. This is going to be a little difficult because Frisch is still scored on the top. But from what we've been told by Race Control currently, Justin Malillo is your race winner over Sean Butler and Ryan Vargas, your top 3. Leighton Sabile, Barrett Polhemus, your top 5. Morgan Baird, Gabe Herschel, Jonathan Taylor, Jake Fluman, and Paul Fodd, your top 10. The next 5, Gary, would all be Carson Bowers, Matt Kemp, Tristan Hagenstein, Timmy Pagioli, and Dylan Smith. And I mean, this gets more convoluted the further you go. Doug Denice, Adam Kodal, Brian Mercurio, then Cy Bowen. Then Chris Wetz would be 20th, I suppose. So Frisch is going to fall all the way down to 27th, where it's going to be Schwartz in 21st, then Martin, Pastana, Rotolo, Rahman, Sean Farr would be 26th, and then finally Michael Frisch would fit in at 27th.
Yeah, and then it's Aaron Smith, who finished a lap down, unfortunately. He's having a good run, too, for the most part. He survived, but some technical things had gotten in his way. Jonathan Palmieri, indirectly continuing his bad luck of Martinsville, and then just being again in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's just not having a good time. John, if you're watching, please take a rest. You definitely need one after these last 2 weeks. Zach Johnson would round out the top 30. Top 30. That is correct. And then we move on to the drivers that were essentially unable to finish in some form or another, with Arnold Columbia, Cody Williams, Zach Nichols in there, just running into awful luck coming into this race, or going out of this race, I should say. Keith Sherman, Matthew Stalknecht, 34th, 35th, Austin Moore, David Cabrera, who was up there at the front for a bit, I believe, then ran into some issues and had crashed out, unfortunately. Kevin Reed, Matt Wishart, as well as one of the drivers that was up there for a bit, and same goes for Corey Heim. They finish 38th through 40th, respectively.
And then finally, 41st, 42nd did not race. I'm not sure if Dalton Collins was supposed to join or not. Might have joined by mistake. Eric Webler, though, was your admin. And, well, that's a race, Gary. I don't know how else to put it other than that. I do not want to be Palmieri or Webler in this situation. And those guys are great. They look at this with a very level head. Tonight it's going to be difficult to do so for everybody. I know I reached out to Michael Frisch for comment. Unfortunately, maybe fortunately, he decided not to. He's a little upset, and I totally get that. So maybe we'll hear from him on social media later. a really weird situation, and I feel for everybody. I do feel, by the way, not just for the admins, but of course those involved, especially up front. I feel for Ryan Vargas, maybe should have had the win a couple of times over. I feel for Michael Frisch, maybe should have the win even afterwards. I think the only winners right now are the ones that were out of this race beforehand, and not really just because they weren't involved in this chaotic finish. This is a tough spot to be in for literally anybody trying to score this, and there's really no winners, and hopefully, Gary, I just hope that John Palmieri, Eric Webley, everybody else understands that going in, and knows that somebody is going to be upset no matter what.
You know, I think the real winners were the friends we made along the way. Although after this race, I'm not sure we made too many. Regardless, this was still a very exciting race. Let's not forget that this was still a very, very exciting race. It was unexpected with how it played out. I can definitely say that, but I still had a good time. I still enjoyed it. I think it was mostly pretty enjoyable. It was great. I loved it. But much like everybody else, I'd start to very, very quickly start to look towards next week at North Wilkesboro.
Let's take a look at the schedule quickly. Wilkesboro and Kansas, those are the final two races before we set up a championship for our finale on May 10th, 2023 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So next week, North Wilkesboro. Let's take a look at all of our upcoming broadcasts here on Pit Stop TV. A look at them all. At least a look at the next three. Next up, it's Bathurst for the Sim Pit Radical Series on Sunday at 1:30 Eastern. Then Monday evening, we go to Martinsville Speedway with some late model stock cars for the iRacing Cars Late Model Stock Tour. Brought to you on Pit Stop TV by RaceCPI.com, powered by the shop. And then Wednesday, that's the big one right now. North Wilkesboro Speedway next up for the UFL Elite Series. And a lot of circumstances going into that one. We don't know who's where in the standings, and nobody's locked in. That means at least two positions are going to Charlotte by points, and that's a lot, Gary Weaver. That is a big-time situation for sure.
It is going to be absolutely wild, and definitely stay tuned to all of the possible social medias, especially after this, where we all try and find out what the heck the actual results are. Facebook.com/pitstoptv, Twitter.com/pitstoptv_. More than likely, the UFL series will also be saying something there at UFL tweets, just in case. Instagram is Instagram.com/pit_stop_TV. And then YouTube is pitstoptv1.
Yeah, fourth wall breaking again. Really keep an eye on at UFL tweets. That is likely your best spot to keep an eye out on who wins this race officially. Personally, this is where the fourth wall breaks. I'll be headed to work for most of tomorrow, most of Friday. So even if this pushes for a couple of days, as far as Pit Stop TV social media goes, it might be a little bit before it gets retweeted. But that is where the winner will be posted, declared, whatever you want to call it, for sure. So at UFL tweets, that's the best place to go for right now. I think when there is a recap to give, we'll try and give a recap on our social media of the full results, because this is going to be a big one. Right now, we're just waiting and seeing. We're just sitting back and hoping.
I'm keeping an eye on I'm keeping an eye on Palmieri. He is typing something, but we might be here for a while, so I don't know how long that's going to be.
This will be definitely one of the more unique... Well, it is already one of the more unique situations we've seen. Race info, a little recap, 9 cautions, 28 laps. It was definitely a caution-laden race, a lot of chaos, a lot of exciting stuff, as you mentioned, Gary. A really exciting race, really genuinely exciting. I know we got a little beat down for a couple of those yellows, but props to everybody who kept things together. It was really, really good racing. Everybody who made that exciting. Pat yourselves in the back. I hate to sign off a broadcast before we really know who's in victory lane, but right now, as it stands, Justin Melillo is your race winner on the evening. And Gary, any quick final thoughts before we finally sign this one off?
I'll get a chance to rave about North Wilkesboro again, because that's going to be as chaotic as it will be with 40 cars on that small track. I am still quite excited. Apparently there is something coming out from Race Control in some amount of time. I'd assume, hopefully, like 30 seconds, which I'm attempting to stall for. But we'll see. They are definitely getting something worked out. So keep an eye on socials for sure.
Yeah, once again, at UFL tweets. We're hearing standby from Tristan Hagginson. I think they're hearing us and likely trying to stall as well. It's a difficult spot. We can't be live all night. But we'll give these guys just a moment in case they do have something coming out quickly. Otherwise, at UFL tweets on Twitter, that is the best place to go. The best place to keep up. And once we see something, we will retweet it. And there we go. We have received. Jonathan Palmieri just posted. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, which one of us is going to read it? Okay, so Jonathan Palmieri of Race Control says, we have reviewed the finish and reversed the decision to penalize the yellow line infractions at the checkered flag due to the crash in the tri-oval. Michael Frisch is the winner, and the result will stand as is. There's more than enough reasonable doubt that the move was made to avoid the crash. We will review any other infractions appealed to us and make changes where necessary. And of course, referencing how unclear what happened with everything. But even Melillo was happy. Melillo was the very first one to say, Frisch, let's go. So if that says anything, even Melillo was happy about it. So that's pretty good on Race Control's part.
And I'm not opinionated as far as who wins. I will say I think that is the right call as far as, now you're broken down to, do you call it before iRacing kind of gets in a weird spot, or do you let iRacing decide the finish? In this case, we're letting iRacing decide the finish. Michael P. Frisch is your winner. Michael P. Frisch is the second driver to get 2 wins this season, and claims this evening's LTLN 212. Almost forgot, this was sponsored by the Left Turn and Loud Noises podcast. And a big shout out to those guys. They already tweeted over on Twitter. Props to them. They were tuned in this evening for sure. Powered by the Rogue Media Network. Big shout out to them. I'm really glad to see this kind of involvement. I know they've been in the series already technically with Anthony Rotolo, but I'm glad we're furthering that involvement. Hopefully it becomes something even bigger. But Michael Frisch is your race winner. So here is your top 10 then. As well, we didn't have to adjust anything. Frisch is your winner. This is what I like, and then we'll quickly head on out of here, Gary. What I like is that takes the yellow line out of this equation, almost kind of breaking into podcast territory, but it takes the yellow line out of the equation. This is just a straight up, do you go with one scenario or the other? And I think in most any case, 99% of the time, it's better to let iRacing do their thing, however the sim wants to do it in that time. There are rare situations where you had to cut into it, but this takes the yellow line out of the equation, and I think that makes the most people happy.
Oh, especially. One more thing from Palmieri. Results will be finalized tonight. We apologize for any delay and appreciate the patience to let us analyze it further. I think that was the best call, considering there was, maybe 5-6 cars that went below the yellow line, and then there was, it was very chaotic. It was also one of those things where, we expected something, we got something different, and I think Race Control collectively agreed, which I think is a good idea, that the race didn't end when and how we thought it would, so what do we do now? And then that was their decision. I feel like it's a bit of a hard place to do, but I think everyone hopefully will be in agreement that in this case we all expected something different, but it's better to just let the results mostly stand as they are.
Well, it was only 80 laps, turned into 83, and the most headache that we could have possibly asked for. Props to John Palmieri and Eric Webler and Tristan Hagginson, and I'm sure there was involvement from others behind the scenes for getting us to a pretty solid call, I think. All things considered, I think that's about the best they could have done. And that is why we broadcast the UFL Elite Series. That's why we all love the UFL Elite Series. That is a good call, I think. That's going to make a lot of people happy. But that is it. That will do it for us this evening from Talladega Superspeedway in a very, very chaotic and controversial finish. Frisch goes to victory lane. A big thank you to those who make it happen for us here at Pit Stop TV in audio by infraction, ATVL, Whiplash Media, SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. That will do it for us. The last man standing, you can see right there, was Melillo. Now it's Michael Frisch going to victory lane. Melillo, Butler, top 3. Ryan Vargas, the top playoff driver in this race. And we'll have a full breakdown of points on social media later, I'm sure. Hopefully sooner than later. Keep an eye out on social media. Once again, our social media channels there, at PitStopTV on Facebook, at PitStopTV_ on Twitter, so on and so forth. It is at UFL Tweets on Twitter. Keep an eye out there. But that'll do it for us this evening. Myself in the booth, Andrew Cardinale IV, along with Gary Weaver. Gary, thanks so much for being here. This went on a little longer, and you're a trooper for keeping with it. Really do appreciate you. A shout out to Mark Sabetka and everybody else, of course. Left Turns and Loud Noises podcast. That is finally it for us this evening. We'll see you next time.